what he accomplished while he was on this planet, that he was able to do exactly what he set out to do, and that was to be Winston Cup champion.
He'd always ask a lot of questions and always try to get his car best he possibly can, and he'd say, you know, what do you think about something? And you'd answer him, and he'd disagree with you, you know, and you'd chuckle inside and you go, doggone him, why does he do that? But when it was all said and done, he'd get all that information and he'd go do it his way, you know. And when they had that tribute to him when he won the championship, he said, I done it my way. I just thought it was such an appropriate song because that fitted Alan so well.
I choose to remember Alan and his championship at Atlanta and at New York at his party and what he meant. I think he was it was the epitome of what living in the United States is about, that you can achieve your dream that you want by doing it your way, and that's the way Alan Kulwicki did it. He was a tremendous champion for this sport, and we'll all miss him.
Well, that video that you saw at the Winston Cup banquet last year, My Way, we will do that again about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Ned Jarrett has joined me. Death is something that we deal with, especially in auto racing, but it's always difficult to deal with.
It is one of the toughest things, if not the absolute toughest things that we have to deal with, Bob. As Darrell Waltrip says, the racing family is a very close-knit group of people. They love each other. Even though they're fierce competitors out on the racetrack, when something happens, they band together and care and love each other very much, and it's a very tough thing to handle, no doubt about it.
And Benny Parsons, it's especially tough young man like Alan Kulwicki, who was just rising to the top of the sport.
Who had just gotten where he wanted to be, worked so hard to get there. What did Mark Martin say? 15 years, every day, 7 days a week, just consumed by being a champion in Winston Cup racing. But the living legacy is going to be his team. At least I hope it can stay together, because he was a winner, but he built a great team.
Well, tragedy was a part of Alan Kulwicki's family. His mother died when he was young. His grandmother took him to race, and then on the pole will be Rusty Wallace, qualifying at 120.938 miles an hour, not quite a track record. And on the outside of the front row will be Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Ford, car number 26. Here's Jerry Punch.
Bob, as the crowd begins to move in, we're getting a capacity crowd at Bristol, Tennessee, as always. The drivers gathering behind me, along with their loved ones and their wives, to try to remember their fallen comrade, Alan Kulwicki, and his crew members that lost their life earlier in the week. It's been mixed emotions here. Everyone's excited about getting involved with racing. They knew that racing was a part of their life, just as it was a part of Alan Kulwicki's life. And they want to get on with life, get on with racing in the sport they love so much. But also, a lot of them don't want to be here, as many of us didn't today, because we wanted to be able to be alone with our thoughts and remember someone that was so special to many of us.
Thank you, Jerry. Now let's go down to pick up some of the pre-race ceremonies just before the start of the Food City 500.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please rise for our invocation to be pronounced by the minister of the Van Sant Church of Christ, Mike Wright, and remain standing immediately following for our national anthem to be presented by Ms. Carrie Folks.
Shall we pray? Dear God, we thank you for your love and for your grace and for your mercy. And dear God, we thank you for your ability to look on the inside of a human being and judge that person for their heart. And God, as you look today inside of each and every person's heart who is here at the racetrack or at home watching it on TV, you know our hearts, and they're split. God, part of our hearts tell us that we're happy, we're excited, and we're enthused because this is what we look forward to each and every year, racing coming to Bristol. But at the same time, God, our hearts are ripped, they're aching, and they're breaking. We have experienced a tragedy in the racing world, and we as fans pretend to be grieving. God, we as fans wear the hats, we wear the shirts, we scream and we holler. God, we are so excited when our racers come to town. But God, there are people who are hurting, and there are people who are deeply concerned. Inside of this group of men, they are our heroes. But God, in the real world, on the other side of the tracks, these men have spouses. They have children. They have brothers and sisters and parents who are deeply concerned and who love them and need them. So God, we pray for safety. We pray for enjoyment. And we pray for an entertaining race. But oh God, please keep these men safe for their families. God, our hearts cannot be touched with the grief that the families that are grieving because of the accident this past week. God, we know that things happen that are sometimes uncontrollable by us. And the families of Kulwicki and Brooks and Duncan and Campbell, God, I pray that you told us that you're the God of all comfort. You told us to come unto you when we're weak and heavy laden. So God, that they are aching, and touch them. And in the midst of tragedies that come our way, especially those in our personal families, we cannot thank you enough for good memories. And the racing world, God, each and every fan, thanks you for memories. We will never forget the lucky number 7, the rookie. We thank you for the memory of someone who's shown us that an owner and driver, both the same, can conquer a championship. God, we will always be reminded in our memory, and we will smile each and every time we hear or see a Polish victory lap. And God, there's not a one of us will ever forget the time that our champion combed his hair before he got out of his car. God, we thank you for those memories. And we pray as we leave here today, God, that we will enjoy this. And we all will say that it's been good to be here. And each and every one of us, God, can leave safe. Again, we mean it when we pray for a safe race. And God, not just me, but thousands and millions of fans everywhere will be praying a moment of silent prayer on behalf of the families of Alan Kulwicki, Mark Brooks, Dan Duncan, and Charles Campbell. Thank you for loaning them to us for a short while, and please be with their families. In Jesus' name, amen.
When talking about his race in Darlington last Sunday, Alan Kulwicki said something that has even more meaning now. Alan said, quote, "There'll be another day when we'll be better." We'll be back in just a moment.
recall last week, Jerry Punch talked about the importance of fast pit stops and how the teams were achieving those. In fact, we saw the Miller Genuine Draft crew, Rusty Wallace, pull off a pit stop in a little over 17 seconds. Now on Monday, some other teams watched tapes of the race. They took note of that. And a couple of teams have told me their owners have put them on extensive weight training programs so they can beef up their pit stops. We will need to see some more fast pit stops from these guys today from all over the racetrack. In fact, Rusty's crew has told me that under perfect conditions, Jerry, they might be able to do a 4-tire change in under 16 seconds.
Well, John, time is just so critical here at Bristol. When you look at this racetrack from high above, you see this high bank fast racetrack that requires only about 16 seconds to circulate. That's why this track is so critical for pit stops. Seconds, so important. The backstretch pits and front stretch pits. Half the field pitting in the back straightaway. They already have an uphill battle. Take a look at a driver who has a mountain to climb today. Darrell Waltrip, the winningest driver in this racetrack's history. 12 victories. Will start dead last, shotgun on today's field in 35th spot. Darrell told me moments ago, hey, I was first at the last race, and I'm last at the first race. Just because I start back there doesn't mean I have to finish there. But Darrell, that's his work cut out for him because this is a very, very tough racetrack to pass on. Bob?
I think that's the understatement of the weekend so far. To pass was very difficult yesterday in the Busch Grand National race, and Darrell has a long way to go to get to the front. Well, what do you look for in this race, Ned?
Tell you, things happen so fast on this racetrack, Bob. Anything can happen. Patience is always a key word in most races, but it's never more important than it is here. But you can't be too conservative on this racetrack. If you do, you'll get lapped in a hurry. If there's a hole opens up, you got to jump in it. The spotters are always important at every racetrack, but I'm not sure he can do as much here as he does at other tracks because things do happen so quickly. It's more driver here.
And I tell you, it's going to take a great race driver today, Ned, because it's a one-groove racetrack right now. The cement has set over the winter. The race cars have only been on it Friday afternoon and yesterday, and they just haven't worked the groove up to the top side of the racetrack. So you're right. You have to be patient and ride behind that guy. But if there is an opening, jump up there and try to get underneath somebody. I'm afraid we're going to see some fender banging today.
All right, let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's Food City 500. The pole sitter is Rusty Wallace in the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac, qualifying at 120.938 in car number 2. Next to him, Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Ford, car number 26. The second row is Ernie Irvin in the Kodak Film Chevrolet car number 4, and then the 21 Citgo Ford driven by Morgan Shepherd. The third row, the Motorcraft Ford, car number 15, piloted by Jeff Bodine. Next to him, last week's winner, Dale Earnhardt in the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet, car number 3. Starting 7th is Ken Schrader in the Kodiak Chevrolet, car 25, and then Mark Martin in the Valvoline Ford, car number 6. And as you take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, you can see again that they have added more seats here at Bristol. It's just unbelievable how many people turn out for the events here. Not only this afternoon race, but of course the night race that's held here at this fast half-mile racetrack in the fall.
Bob, the first 9 rows are pitting on the front stretch from row 10 on back. Those are the drivers back on the back stretch. You see Rick Mast and Bill Elliott will be back there, and everyone behind them.
And you may have noticed Jeff Gordon there starting in 21st position. He is the second fastest qualifier, just a tick of the watch slower than the pole sitter Rusty Wallace, but because he was a second day qualifier, he will start in 21st spot.
And something fell out of one of the cars right at the end of pit road, and one of the officials went over and picked it up. It looked like a hunk of lead or something.
Well, you wonder, they weigh these cars. That's one of the things they do in the pre-race inspection. Wonder if it would be a little bit light. Jerry Punch?
Well, just a minute ago, the NASCAR officials went out in turn 1 and picked up this piece of lead, and they carried it back over to the pit wall. Now, it has marked on it number 75, indicating probably it's either 75 pounds or it came out of the car number 75. But whatever the reason, NASCAR would not allow the field to start because someone lost this large segment of lead, and the car wouldn't be legal even if it did race. So why let it race? They're going to hold off the start and try to get this lead placed back inside the car so it'll meet the proper 3,500-pound weight restriction.
And we can see car 75 is in the pits, Jerry, on the back straightaway. So evidently the lead came out of his car, and NASCAR again is not going to let the car run until the weight is put back in. He becomes his weight is like everyone else's.
That is Dick Trickle, and he crashed here yesterday during the practice session. And
Hard.
the schedule to start, took a provisional, as a matter of fact, starting in 34th position. And already some problems with that car, but he's back on the racetrack, catching up with the field, and we should be going green in just a moment. Jerry, you got more?
Well, actually, Trickle and the guys, you're right, Bob, they crashed their primary short track car, and they had to go back home and get a speedway car. And I tell you, Butch Mock and his crews worked through the night to get this car ready and get it in the field. So they did not have a chance to get the car as tuned as they would like it. So this kind of problem would not ordinarily happen because they were in such a hurry. We're getting ready to go green flag, Bob.
Crowd rises, and we are set to go for 500 laps of racing at Bristol International Raceway, the Ford City 500.
Saw something we don't normally see. The outside pole man got a great start. Brett Bodine took the lead from pole to the rest of the car.
This is our in-car camera being carried by the leader, Brett Bodine.
Nothing but green racetrack in front of Brett. Car running third. Ernie Irvin had to put a new engine in his car this morning just before they put the car on the line. Install a brand new engine, and this is a brand new race car. First race for him.
Was going to come up and bump him back into the car. And now Rusty has caught up to the pole sitter, Brett Bodine, and it's a three-car battle up front.
They pulled away about 15-20 car lengths from the fourth place car, or Gordon Shepard. Now Rusty moves on the inside, takes the lead.
Out of turn number 2 down the backstretch, Rusty gets a good bite, takes the first position, and Ernie Irvin takes second from Brett. And now it becomes a 6-car battle as Morgan Shepard, Jeff Bodine, and Dale Earnhardt have caught up. And this is the root cam on Morgan Shepard's Citgo Ford. The black number 7 there on the hood of the car, symbolic and in remembrance of the fallen champion, Alan Kulwicki.
And watch just how little time he has down the straightaway to relax. He's already in the third corner, all the way through the corner. There we see Earnhardt from high top in the blimp, following Morgan Shepard, Jeff Bodine.
Every other car in the field is running single file. There are no side-by-side battles at the moment. There are a lot of drivers back there that are looking for a place to go, but as we pointed out, it's going to be tough to pass on this track for a little while. But they will work in a second groove, I think, as time goes by.
Then we're looking for Morgan Shepard's rear bumper right back to Jeff Bodine, loaded that forward. Here comes Earnhardt on the inside.
He had a notion, but didn't take advantage. In fact, he backed off, and that has allowed Rudd and Ken Schrader to close in on him. Now here is Rudd to the inside of Schrader as they go down the backstretch into turn 3. That inside line is the one to have, and Schrader loses not 1 but 2 positions.
Yeah, he knew that he was caught up there and he wasn't going to take any chances. He just backed off and let him go and said, I'll fall in line here and follow for a while.
Great run for Bobby Hamilton in country time Ford.
Dick Trickle is just now coming out of the pits. You can see it down on the inside, the white car there. Coming out, he went back into the pits as they worked on that lid, so he is several laps down, in fact about a dozen.
Dennis Schrader, Kodiak Chevrolet. There's our pole sitter and leader, Rusty Wallace. Ernie Irvin. Rusty's hooked up today, isn't he, man?
Yes, he is. He loves this racetrack and he loves that race car. He has been on a roll this year. And the type of confidence that he and the team have right now will carry a long way as he is taking off.
He started from the pole. That was his second pole in 19 career starts at this Bristol Raceway. So he leads at the end of 14 laps with Ernie Irvin running in second position and Brett Bodine third. We're early in the going of this Food City 500. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by your local Yamaha dealer, who invites you to see their exciting new line of motorcycles, ATVs, and water vehicles. By Orkin Termite and Pest Control. One call destroys them all. And by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. We'll be back with more from Bristol International Raceway and the Food City 500 right after this. Well, the caution is out for the first time on lap number 19 here at Bristol. The incident that brought out the caution was the crash up in turn number 2 involving Hut Strickland. He has damaged the car to the point that he's had to bring it in for repairs and is behind the wall. And here is the tail end of what happened up there between 1 and 2.
Ooh, cars going everywhere. Phil Parsons on the outside, another car on the inside, and you can see some pretty heavy damage to the back of that McDonald's Ford.
John Kernan has more from down there in the pits.
Hut Strickland is just catching his breath right now. The team is going to work on the McDonald's Ford. You can see the rear end is pretty much smashed in. The left side by the fuel filler is pushed all the way toward the right of the race car. They will go to work trying to get Hut out. Let's sneak in here and see if we can talk to Hut real quickly. Hut, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I don't really know what happened though. You know, it felt like something either broke or felt like it hit oil or something. It just went down in the corner and just swapped ends. You know, just one of them things, you know.
That's how Strickland was thinking he was okay when you work on the car and try to get him back out, Bob.
Meanwhile, the green flag has come back out and we are racing once again at Bristol. There is Dale Earnhardt putting pressure on Morgan Shepherd. Fifth position. Morgan is running fifth and Earnhardt is sixth. Behind him is Ricky Rudd in car number 5. We're looking back now from Morgan's car on the GM Goodwood Chevrolet.
Jim Bodine, the motorcycle was able to get by Morgan a few laps ago just before the caution started. Ooh, Morgan gets a little loose. Earnhardt just catches a little bit. That means on the inside. Boy, it doesn't take much. He just lift the gas a little bit. And he had to right then when the car got loose. Earnhardt got by.
Rudd took a look coming out of turn number 4 down the front stretch. Could not pass Morgan.
You can see just how hard these cars are going in the corner. You see how much the frame moves up and down. And just how much force they take when they go into the corner at about 125 miles an hour. About 100 miles an hour. They go down the straightaway. That's probably 135, 40 miles an hour. Yeah, they got to be going, I'd say, close to 150 now. Sterling Marlin is in trouble. Dale Jarrett, Bill Elliott, Harry Gant, Jimmy Spencer.
Several cars in a crash down between turns 3 and 4 this time. Sterling Marlin's car is at the bottom of the racetrack there on the right, and up high in the wall is Jimmy Spencer.
And Harry Gant not able to get his car going. We can see some damage to the rear of his car and was lost a lap. Rusty Wallace got by there. Spencer sitting backwards on the racetrack. His car is rolling now.
These guys were battling tooth and nail for several laps, and finally something happened to cause this. Let's see if we can determine what.
Well, Sterling Marlin is in the blue car, the number 8. Looked like Michael Waltrip might have got a little bit loose there. Sterling maybe tapped him a little bit and then thought he had a nose under him going into the turn. Michael took his regular route into the turn. They touched and around he went, and then the cars come up behind him. Everybody was running the inside groove. You can see some cars get by, but back in the pack, they slowed down. They got hit from behind. There was Bill Elliott up on the high side of the track. He came on around. Dale Jarrett got his car righted and came on around. Harry Gant, as Benny mentioned, got banged into there. Joe Ruttman in the other blue car there was in it as well.
And we see Jimmy Spencer sitting up on the outside of the racetrack in the Meineke Muffler car.
Everybody pulled away from the crash, so we'll not have any tow vehicles out there. However, several are in the pits, including John Kernan.
Well, the crew goes to work on Sterling Marlin's car. They're having to pull the sheet metal away from the left front. You can see all the heavy contact right there. A lot of sheet metal damage. They're bending back the rear deck lid. Slowing down, gets the nose down and away. A lot of twisted metal on that race car.
under green conditions at lap number 32 as Jimmy Spencer comes up and tries to get a lap back, is unable to do so and falls third in line behind the leader Rusty Wallace and Ernie Irvin, who is running in second position. This is Irvin's start in the race that began at Martinsville in September of last year.
We can see that Ernie's got his car pretty doggone good.
That car was fast in practice yesterday. He and Mark Martin, Rusty, Dale Earnhardt. There were a lot of them that were pretty fast.
Everyone in the garage area said that Mark Martin seemed to have the best car in practice, but he qualified back a little bit, so he has to work his way through this traffic. But later on in the race, they think Mark Martin is going to be a serious threat.
He's seventh right now, and certainly has the leader in sight.
Rusty's starting to move away from Ernie just a little bit. A couple of car lengths that lap.
Rusty Wallace won his very first Winston Cup race here in 1986. As you indicated, he put some racetrack between himself and Ernie Irvin running second.
Well, certainly this racetrack lends itself to his style of driving. He's a very aggressive race driver. You have to drive very aggressively here. Jimmy Spencer gets around Ernie Irvin as Ernie slipped a little bit.
There is Spencer trying to get his lap back. He lost a lap involved in that crash at third turn number 4, but he has now ahead of second place as Ernie Irvin and Brett Bodine running second and third. There goes Davey Allison to the inside of Bobby Hillin, and Jeff Gordon in car number 24 will come along.
Jeff Gordon is moving up through this field, gentlemen. He started in 21st position.
He's up to 12th.
He's up to 12th already.
That's pretty impressive on a racetrack that is very difficult to pass him.
Jeff Gordon, of course, has driven the open wheel cars on racetracks similar to this at Winchester and at Salem, but as far as a stock car is concerned, this must be a new experience too. Of course, he's driven the Busch Grand National cars here, but never a Winston Cup race at Bristol for Jeff Gordon.
Bob, right now there are 3 cars that are behind the wall. This does not necessarily mean they're out of the race, but they're doing work on them. That is Hutch Strickland, Harry Gant, and Bobby Hamilton.
There we see leg speed, the Purex Ford. He's 13th currently. Morgan Shepard looks like he's having some problems. He's trying to get on the inside of Kenny Wallace, can't do it. But meanwhile, Michael Waltrip, our winner yesterday afternoon, all over Morgan Shepard.
Now, both of those drivers pitted, Benny, during this caution period. We saw Morgan having some problems handling before the caution came out. So he is, that's why he's back in the field as far as he is.
A little bit of fluid there on the lens of our camera. Does that indicate anything to you guys?
Usually it indicates it's raining, but since it's not raining, I don't know if Earnhardt may be losing a little bit of water or not.
That could be coming from another car.
And we can see Mark Martin, who everyone was bragging about, is slowly moving through the field.
Up to fifth, sixth position right now, and Dale Earnhardt is in 5th spot. This is our Olympic stain in-car camera, actually on the roof of the Valvoline Ford, driven by Mark Martin.
An in-car camera that's on the roof, right?
That's right. Okay, then an on-car camera. How's that?
Okay. And Mark looks to the inside of Earnhardt, but Earnhardt realizing Mark was not up far enough.
So that battle continues on the racetrack, while up front it is still Rusty Wallace who is in command of the Food City 500. In fact, lapping cars here at the end of 46 laps. Caution has once again come out at Bristol International Raceway for the second time this afternoon. This on lap number 53. And we have some debris also on the racetrack. There's one of the cars that was involved in the incident, Bobby Hillin Jr., and the other was Ken Schrader.
Looks like Schrader came out the worst end on the deal because he had, hey, Rusty Wallace, all the front runners coming in the pits.
This at 53 laps.
Kind of unusual, I think, did this early.
Well, it is, but I'm sure they want to get in and check the tires out. This is the longest run they've had on the tires to see how everything is square, and once the leader comes in, then everybody else has got to come in. Let's see if they can be able to get one of those sub-16 second pit stops here.
Todd Perry wearing the crew cam.
I don't think so this time. 15, 16. Pretty good. 17 and a half. That's not bad.
Darn good.
And everyone else is still sitting in the pits. Rusty Wallace has been gone for seconds. Brett Bodine will come out second. Earnhardt third.
Then comes Jeff Bodine and Ricky Rudd, Ernie Irvin, Kyle Petty.
And Mark Martin is sitting in the pits. Mark Martin is just now leaving.
Martin had a really slow pit stop.
Something wrong on that pit stop. Compared to the others, it wasn't for a long time.
Now here is the incident that brought out the second caution. Well, Hillen looks like just got loose coming out of 2.
He did, and spun sideways and right in front of Ken Schrader, knocked him down into the wall. Schrader comes back into Hillen. And Benny, I think you're right. I think Schrader got the worst end of that deal.
Oh,
just
man, did
circumstances.
He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time as Hillen got loose coming off 2 and slid right into the path of Ken Schrader. We are watching live coverage of the Food City 500 from Bristol International Raceway. We'd like to thank the Family Channel Blimp for again providing the aerial coverage for today's race. The Blimp pilot today is Steve Tomlin. We'll be right back. And here is the field now, realigning for the start. And Jimmy Spencer is at the front of the field. However, he is the length of the racetrack behind. The leader of the race is Michael Walker.
Spencer stayed out there, did not make a pit stop. He had a very fast race car, as we had pointed out before this caution came out. He was trying to unlap himself. Michael Walker was leader.
Michael Walker, as Benny said a few minutes ago, was the winner of the Grand National race here yesterday. A very emotional victory lane. And Michael was looking for his very first Winston Cup victory. There's Dale Jarrett running in second position, and Phil Parsons is lap down.
Joe Russell's running third.
Yes, he is. Now, those 3 cars all did not hit on this caution. They had hit it on the last caution, so that worked in their favor here this time, having pitted not too long ago, so everybody else pitted, so they came back up to the front.
And by the way, fans, if you watched the race yesterday and you saw Michael propose to his fiancée now and ask her to marry, she accepted, and he in fact did have the ring. I saw it this morning.
Yeah, he said he had the intent, just didn't know how to go about it. You made it right into that.
Yeah.
Benny played too.
Now here's Dale Jarrett sneaking up on Michael Walker rather quickly, as a matter of fact. Cuts the advantage to about a half a car length and chases Michael down the front stretch.
And I tell you, these guys like Dale Jarrett, they're pitting in the back straightaway. They don't want to pit anyway, do they, Dale?
Lots of heavy traffic behind the leaders as Rusty Wallace tries to move through. That is 10 US Air Ford on the outside of Rusty. Brett Bodine right behind. They both pass Ted Musgrave, and here comes Dale Earnhardt.
And Jeff Bodine, Musgrave wisely goes up and stays on the top of the racetrack. This is from inside Brett Bodine, Trucker State Ford. Looking back to the team given Chevrolet, Dale Earnhardt.
Brett is 4th, and Dale is 5th.
Rusty Wallace has moved into 3rd now.
Let's see the RPMs, 8,500 I saw for a second. Oh, a crash on the front straightaway.
Everybody at speed.
And Morgan Shepherd shoots the half, goes right between them, and stays out of trouble. Looks like that Labonte's car is damaged in the right front, and Lake Speed's car has also suffered some damage.
And Jimmy Spencer got his lap back.
Yes, he did.
And I tell you what, that car is fast.
Yes, it is. It's very, very fast, and so he's going to be in position now to be a contender.
Here's our leader, Michael Walker. Now he probably will come in this caution flag, make his pit stop.
Well, the pits are open. Let's see if he does. He might not want to give up that track position, so there might be another caution here after a while.
Both Michael and Dale Jarrett stay out there. Let's see if anyone comes in. Doesn't appear to be. Well, here comes Kyle Petty falling down off the banking and entering pit road. But
and Mark Martin's coming back in for some reason. Oh, I see he's got some damage on the nose of his car.
Here's John Kernan in Kyle's pit.
Kyle is in for a 4-tire change, and also a report that the tire has been rubbing, so they will have to pull the sheet metal away. They will change all 4 tires. Work already continued on the left side. Listen to that, Mark Martin's pit, Jerry Punch.
The Valvoline crew having changed right side tires. They come around to the left side. You can take a look at the front of the car, what's left of the front of that Ford Thunderbird. The nose having been blunted significantly. Some of that Kevlar front nose piece has been shoved and separated. And now, one crew member trying to pull in front of the car and pull some of the sheet metal away, trying to push the hood down. Mark is in the stability, not great. He pulls back on the racetrack to try to keep from losing a lap. Obviously, he has his work cut out for him. It's going to be a long day for Mark Martin.
Let's take a look again at what happened. This is off of our speed shot, which is down near the starter stand. You can see the car sliding through on the inside.
Lake Speed was the first car that we saw sliding down the inside, and then there's Terry Labonte in the car number 14. And here comes Morgan Shepherd. He chose to go down the inside. Really wasn't anywhere to go up on the outside, all those cars, but those cars split, so Morgan could go right between them.
It's our third caution of the day here at Bristol International Raceway as we present live coverage of the Food City 500. Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch welcome you back to Bristol International Raceway, the Food City 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race. Out front of the pack is Sterling Marlin, who has gotten one of his 5 laps back. The leader of the race is Dale Jarrett. Running in second position, right behind him is Rusty Wallace, and third is Michael Waltrip.
Michael pushed a little bit. Sterling Marlin got by him at the same time. Dale Jarrett went around him, and Rusty didn't also. So they pulled away from Michael Waltrip right now. Sterling Marlin seems to have a fast car right now. He's a number of laps down, of course.
He was involved in the crash, backed the car in the wall up in turn 3. And there's a car who seems to be flying is Rusty Wallace, Miller Junior Draft Pontiac.
Yeah, he made a pit stop during one of our cautions, and of course relinquished track position because of that. But has fought his way back up through, and now is just a few feet behind the leader.
You mentioned Bobby Hamilton was out of the race, not going to get back in. He has an engine problem, so he will not be back in the race. Still working on Hutch Strickland, Harry Kent, Ken Schrader, and the car number 90 of Bobby Hillin.
Tight racing back here in the pack. That's Davey Allison. Jeff Brooks runs alongside Ken Musgrave. Kyle Petty is there in the 42, along with Bill Elliott and the 17 of Darrell Waltrip.
Bill Elliott is about there. Rusty Wallace has passed him before one of those cars will come out because Bill was involved in one of those accidents.
Now Darrell Waltrip, remember, come up to 14th despite the fact that he started in last position, scratch. In fact, had to take a champion's provisional to get into this race, and it's also put him on the backstretch.
I don't know if he had to take that provisional, but by doing that, he allowed another car to start the race.
Yeah, he had to take a provision,
right.
But he could have taken a regular provision, but as Lena said, he chose to take the champion's provision, and that's the Atlanta.
Allow Bobby Labonte and Dick Trickle to be the 2 regular provisionals.
Exactly.
There are the leaders. Dale Jarrett, Rusty Wallace.
Well, Rusty has been all over there here for the last several laps. But, Jarrett's been able to hold him off now. Rusty looks on the inside.
Dale had a good run here last year at this race, didn't he?
Well, he finished second.
Yeah, in fact, he led for quite a ways, as I remember. Here's your Napa Field summary. Watch for your favorite driver. This is how they were running last lap.
You can see how both these cars running in the same tracks. That's what we're calling the groove. Where these cars running, that's the fastest way around the racetrack. And right now, at the early stage of the race, all the cars want to run at that same spot.
And that's why it's so difficult for Rusty Wallace to pass Dale Jarrett. Jarrett uses preferred groove around the track, and he just can't do much with it.
You see Dale Earnhardt get by Brett Bodine and Jeff Bodine followed by his younger brother.
And trouble up here, Rick Mast right in front of the leaders as they come off of turn 4. Jarrett and Wallace get by.
Jarrett and Wallace both had to slam on the brakes and dive toward the outside of the racetrack to avoid the spinning Rick Mast, and Sterling Marlin got one of his laps back.
He's down, it says here that he's down 15 laps.
Well, he spent a bit of time in the pits, and they click off pretty quick, don't they?
Yes, yes. As a result of the accident that he was involved in, he did spend a good bit of time.
It looked like Rick Mast was lucky, Ned. I don't see any damage to that car.
It doesn't look like he hit anything hard, if he hit anything at all.
Well, maybe we can tell on a replay.
Well,
he's up there awful close, but
up on the outside of the track, spins on around, does not hit the wall there, and here come the leaders. See, Sterling Marlin took the inside route. Jarrett and Wallace go up on the outside.
Man. Here we're watching the leaders now. Let's see how they react, because the spotters tell them that a car is spinning up in the corner because they can't see anything. Now all of a sudden the spotters have told them that. They just hit the brakes, slow down, and try to figure out how they're going to dodge him. Fortunately, when they get there, they're going slow enough that they can turn above him.
They have to rely on their spotters to be their eyes out there in many, many instances, and there they are, perched high atop the press box here at Bristol. They tell the driver what's happening on the racetrack when the driver cannot see what's happening out there. Back in just a moment. On the backstretch.
It feels like he had a flat tire. I saw him pull down to the inside of the track as he came down the front straightaway.
He's throwing water out of the car, so our spotters have told us.
Here's a green flag. We're back to racing with 93 laps completed. Dale Jarrett is still the leader of the race. Rusty Wallace second. Michael Waltrip is third, and then Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Bodine.
It's Bill Parsons. Earnhardt coming inside up. Chevrolet.
Remains on the backstretch pit. Had a good run going last week at Darlington until a crash sidelined him. Mechanical problems are bothering him here at Bristol.
Sterling Marlin in the blue and white 8, he made a pit stop. He made his lap up. He made a pit stop. And under NASCAR rules, lap cars will go to the front. He made a pit stop and pull right back up to the front of the pack.
There you can see that the hood is up on Gordon's car. John Kernan is making his way there, and we'll have a report in just a few minutes, but looks like it could be an overheating problem. Meanwhile, here's a battle for third position as Dale Earnhardt has taken the GM Goodwin Chevrolet to the inside of Michael Waltrip in the third and fourth turns, and Earnhardt gets the spot.
Mr. Wallace, while that was going on, Sterling Marlin was out. He had nothing but about Chevrolet cars between him and Dale Jarrett. And here comes Jeff Bodine. He wants to put him into fourth place. Michael goes a little high, doesn't find him too much. Jeff Bodine goes to fourth.
With whom you are running, or you were there for a while, is running in sixth. Let's go to John Kernan, who's taken it away back to Jeff Gordon.
Bob, Jeff Gordon's crew has just finished their work for what they've been able to do right now. Ray Evernham and the crew have added water. The car definitely overheating. They pulled some tape off of the front grille, trying to get a little more air into the radiator. Now these guys, you got to give them the hustle award this week. That race car is the same car that Jeff had a wreck in and crashed the rear end last Sunday at Darlington. Sunday night, they took it back to the race shop and stripped it. Monday morning, put a new rear clip on it, and Ray told me it was ready to go to the racetrack on Wednesday.
Unfortunately, the overheating problem has put him several laps behind. As the action on the racetrack continues, Michael Waltrip continues to lose positions. Brett Bodine, Ernie Irvin, and Ricky Rudd have all moved past.
Yeah, Michael has been out there a long time on his tires, much longer than those that are passing him right now. I think he stopped at the same time that Dale Jarrett did, and he's about to be passed.
Into turn one, side by side, and Rusty comes out with the lead.
Rusty Wallace. I don't know who on this track will be able to race with anyone.
He is fast.
So far, in the first 100 laps, we haven't found anyone.
This is the same car, by the way, that he ran at Richmond and finished second. There's Dale Earnhardt.
He's a third place car. Jeff Bodine, Ernie Irvin, Ricky Rudd, Brett Bodine. hood supports was rubbing the left front tire. So he's had to make a couple of pit stops on his starting bike to try to cure that problem.
This is the battle for 12th position here between Davey and Kyle.
Davey Allen's on 7 cylinders. Did we say that at the end? Or?
I don't know if we said it. We had a report that he was on 7 cylinders and Kyle just drives out of the straightaway. So apparently, there goes Spencer around another car. See what happens. There it comes.
Wilson is now right behind Davey Allison. There's Jimmy.
This is the same car. John Kern was talking about Jeff Gordon. This is the same car that Spencer raced in Darlington last week. Talked to Jimmy Finnegan. They had a 24-hour job down at Bobby Allison Motorsports this week, trying to get that car ready to come up to first.
Ronnie Hill now going back out after repairs on the Howley Myers Forge. Then intermittent laps after being involved in an accident.
Mark Martin now right on the rear spoiler of the Pennzoil Pontiac driven by Michael Waltrip. Inside, Mark Martin's Valvoline Ford. The Olympic stain in-car camera. 2 carries the number 7 in the dash.
He looks to the inside of Michael. No doubt Michael gets to the racetrack and Mark Martin takes that spot away.
Michael is not arguing with anybody that comes up on the inside of him. He knows that his tires are older than most other people out there, and therefore he can't keep up. It allows them to pass.
There comes Spencer.
Boy, Jimmy Spencer has come through the field. Started 28th on the 25th lap. He was 22nd. 27th on lap 50, but then began to move up to 19th. And at the end of 111 laps, has moved into the top 10.
If you wonder how he went backwards, he spun. Remember up in 3 and 4, he spun out. Ooh,
He and Kyle Petty coming off the turn. Both of them did a good job of hanging on.
It's another situation where Kyle Petty has better tires on his car than Spencer does on his Ford.
Coming off the corner.
Oh, Spencer gets it out of control. Kyle Petty never touched him, but Kyle was trying to dodge because he felt like Spencer was going to lose control.
And the word we get is that Spencer may be having some brake problems, and I don't think that's probably one of the things that you would relish about running on this racetrack.
They don't use the brakes a great deal going into the turns here at Bristol, but certainly if you need to slow down in a hurry, you need those brakes.
Kyle getting the left side tires down on the apron of the track, but taking the spot away from Jimmy Spencer. The lead continues to be held by Rusty Wallace. Jarrett is second, followed by Earnhardt, Jeff Bodine, and Ernie Irvin. ESPN Speed World today in Bristol, Tennessee. The top 5 after 125 of 500 laps in the Food City 500. Rusty Wallace, Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt, Ernie Irvin, and Ricky Rudd.
Rusty Wallace. Man, I was doing a little informal research this morning down in the garage area, and Rusty Wallace has more gear ratio in his car than anybody else out there. They say he's probably 9,000 RPMs.
Here's a battle for position. This is the 6th spot, which has just been taken by Mark Martin. He passed Jeff Bodine.
Jeff Bodine was fourth. Followed by Bud Irvin, and then Mark Martin.
In 1992, Jeff was the strongest on the short tracks, 4 top 5 wins in the 8 short track races that were held last year. Back to back on Mondays.
Yep.
See the damage there on the right front of that number 6 car that doesn't seem to be slowing it much.
That's the concern that I would have is, as Jerry Punch pointed out, visibility. When Mark Martin's steering the hood all the cars, we can see how the hood's pushed up. And when he tries to get alongside these guys and gets very close to them, can he judge his distance as well with that hood up like that?
There's the 42 of Kyle Petty. And that is one of the fastest on the racetrack.
Yes, it is. He has been picking up the one and then the other. He's coming up on Jeff Bodine right now. He made those pit stops and really has come back up to the field.
Well, that's a great shot, isn't it, from the Family Channel blimp?
Sure is, isn't it? And you can see the new concrete speedway around here. Remember we had trouble a couple of races here with the pavement coming up, so Larry Carey went and put cement all the way around this half-mile racetrack.
Jerry Punch has a comment on Jeff Bodine.
Well, a minute ago we were asking the question about what's the problem with the car number 15. I spoke with Donnie Wingo, who said that Jeff apparently has a problem getting in the corner. The car gets very loose going into the corner, and here at Bristol, you don't want a loose race car diving in the corner. You'll end up backing it into the concrete.
Here we see Jeff Bodine get alongside Wally back. There's another Napa Field summary. We see our leader, Rusty Wallace, Jared Earnhardt, Urban and Red.
In my calculations, Dale is about 1 3/4 seconds behind here.
Mark Martin posting up in the back of Ricky Rudd.
Right on the back bumper of the Ted Musgrave car. There is Ernie Urban having a good run here at Bristol.
It looked like that the team was able to install that new engine and everything worked out well.
Sterling Marlin remains several laps behind, involved in an incident up in turn 3 earlier in the day. Had to come in for some repairs. He finds just ahead of him Dale Earnhardt, who is third in standings at the moment. Last week's winner Darlington on the current points leader. There is second place, Dale Jarrett, winning a lap on the 20 car of Joe Rutten.
When they get up on that high side of the racetrack, they just got to tiptoe around there because they know if they get just a couple of inches too high, that car will break loose with them and they'll be gone.
Joe is 19th currently, Joe Rutten in the 20 car.
That's the Dick Rosso automobile sponsored by Fina Loop.
And there is the interval between first and second as Rusty Wallace, the pole sitter, looking for $60,800 in added bonus money from Unical.
Martin has gotten himself on the 5-position scoreboard here at Bristol, moved into 5th place, moved around Ricky Rudd a lap ago.
Here's his brother, Kenny Wallace, directly in front of Rusty. That's the Devil Pontiac.
I don't know if you've ever seen the relatively new program that's on CBS called How'd They Do That? Kind of an interesting program. Well, they shot a piece recently on his crash at Daytona and the rebuilding of the car and how it survived. So it should be quite interesting. That'll be coming up in a few weeks on the CBS program, How'd They Do That?
Here's Barry Cope, Randy Allison, and Darrell Waltrip.
Darrell Waltrip started last, moved to 16th by the 45th lap, 14th by the 75th lap, moved down to 16th at 105, and at 142 laps, he's gone in 42th position.
Darrell's trying to get that high groove worked out because as far back as he is, he realizes that he's going to need to go to the outside. Here he goes trying to get on the outside of Davey Allison. Just can't get alongside.
And I'm sure that the team has told him that Rusty Wallace is coming up behind him. Rusty's about a straightaway behind this group of cars that we're watching right now, so they want to move on to get it back down.
There we see Darrell once again. He goes in the corner on the outside of Davey, but he just can't make the pass, can't get off the corners with enough acceleration to go by Davey.
Now maybe as he comes a little bit closer.
There's a slow car, Jimmy Means. Darrell wisely backed off.
Bobby Labonte went very high down in turns 1 and 2. He gathered the car back in. No incident, but he almost did the wall.
Darrell Waltrip has won 12 times on this racetrack, including every single race for 3 straight years.
And you can see Darrell just trying so hard to work out that high groove for himself so he can pass some of these cars. He knows that he can't run in the same track as everyone else and get to the front. He's not having a lot of success in doing it. There's Jerry Coates of the Bojangles Ford directly in front of Davey.
Rusty Wallace at 2.16 seconds behind Darrell Waltrip. And here is the battle for 5th and 6th position. Ernie Irvin and Ricky Rudd.
Well, from that height, the banking looks flat, doesn't it? Here's Rudd moving inside of Ernie and taking over 5th position.
That speed coming back out. Bobby Hillin was out for a while. Now he is back behind the wall again.
That is a really neat shot. The banks do look flat, don't they?
36 degrees inside that race car. They do look flat.
And Dale Jarrett stopped at lap 28, guys, and he has run 122 laps since then. So we'll have a good start. Maybe another 40 laps or something.
And then we see the McDonald's Ford coming back.
5th, 6th, and 7th right there. Meanwhile, the leader, Rusty Wallace, is in a whole bunch of traffic. Jeff Gordon just ahead of him. Also, Rick Mast is up there, Rick Wilson, Wally Dallenbach, and Morgan Shepherd.
Wow, did you see the 22 car of Bobby Labonte, those new tires?
He has just been in the pits. I mentioned that he got
a spin in turn 3.
Rick Wilson has run right in front of the leader.
He slides down off the banking, right through the groove, and everybody misses him. But he has damaged the rear end of the STP Pontiac considerably.
Man, I tell you what. How in the world these guys running this fast and somebody go up the racetrack and back across the racetrack and no one hit him? Man,
Rick was 16th when the accident occurred. Here it is again.
Here we see Bobby Labonte and Rick Wilson already in trouble up against the wall. Car slide. He's on the brakes, but the bank will not hold. The car just has to come back down. Believe it or not, all the cars got by safely.
And pit stops occurring here on the main straightaway. Here's Jerry.
Rusty Wallace, the Miller Genuine Pontiac driver, our leader. He gets the first pit stall. Crew having already changed right side tires. Buddy Parrott and the crew now changing left side tires. They check the grill, clean the windshield. 16.1 seconds. The prediction was a sub 16-second pit stop, and he almost did it. Let's go over to John Curtis. John.
Jerry, I'm on the back stretch. Last week we told you under caution what a disadvantage it was to fit here. Dale Jarrett has just come into the pits as Rusty Wallace is now passing him. Entering turn 3. Right side garage. Jimmy Maycar in the crew going to work. Left side is coming off. Kyle Petty is out. Dale Earnhardt is out. Ernie Irvin, Ricky Rudd already out. Left side tires. Dale Jarrett goes down pit road. And Jeff Bodine will pass by.
We almost saw a sub 16-second pit stop. 16.1 was what we clocked the Rusty Wallace crew on that effort. Tremendous job. We're under caution here at Bristol International Raceway. Back to live coverage of the NASCAR Winston Cup Food City 500 from Bristol International Raceway in Tennessee. We're under caution because of an incident involving Rick Wilson in car number 44. The incident up between turns 3 and 4. Watch the left side of your screen.
Don't look like anything hit him. Just looked like he lost control, doesn't it, Ned?
The back end just went out from under him all of a sudden. Whether the tire went down or what happened, we don't know. But it just went out from under him. And
some cars go high, some go low, but everybody misses him. And when they came in for a pit stop, the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac crew did an unbelievable job. 16.1 seconds is what we timed the pit stop at. Let's time it again with the crew cam worn by Todd Hill.
Okay, the car stops. Jack goes up, rear tire. This is Todd. Help him out. He goes around, make sure everything's okay on the left side. Help with the left rear. Down it goes.
Well, it was maybe 0.3 of a second slower on
the
that.
Numbers don't matter.
That's
because
right.
I'm telling you, everybody else was on the jack when he drove away.
That's right.
Every other team on the racetrack was on the jack.
It's nice to see a 16-second pit stop, and when you're a second and a half or 2 seconds faster than anybody else, that's what counts. We'll be back in just a minute.
Back at Bristol International Raceway, still under caution. Take a look at a minute ago what happened on pit road. We saw that fast pit stop from Rusty Wallace. Take a look at what happened to Dale Earnhardt. left side of the car has been jacked up. He is blocked in. Now Mark Martin is already leaving the pits. Dale Earnhardt has to back up, and he lights the tires up, trying to get off the pit road. Very close quarters here in the pits. It cost Earnhardt about 5 extra seconds. Getting set to go back to the ring. Bob?
Green is out. Rusty Wallace is at the front of the field. Mark Martin is second. Kyle Petty third. Dale Earnhardt and Ernie Irvan.
I'm real interested to see this race because Mark Martin has been fast. We haven't found anybody today that could race with Rusty Wallace. Can Mark Martin do it? We're going to find out in the next few laps.
Well, this is the first time that Mark Martin has had this kind of track position. He had a tremendous pit stop. Came in fifth and came out second.
The Olympic staying-in car being carried by Mark Martin. He's within about 2 car lengths of the leader. Was second here in August, and we'll watch his line around this half-mile racetrack from the Family Channel Blimp.
All right, we're going down the back straightaway. This is, see how high he's going up?
But he's not going as high now as he did before. I think he's slowing it down a little bit going into the turns to keep from going as high as he went there for a few laps.
So the only way you can cure that problem is to slow down a little bit going in the corner, but unfortunately when you do that, you slow down. Jerry, do you have anything for us?
Benny, you're exactly right. Earnhardt has a severe push in the front of that Goodwrench Chevrolet. They came on the pit road last time. They pulled the left front fender away, and they made a significant wedge adjustment, as you said, in the car, hoping to fix it. Actually, it's gotten worse. So he's having to slow down a little bit and buy this time, and maybe wait for a yellow flag.
We talked about the cars that are behind the wall and out of the race. The car number 68 of Bobby Hamilton, we mentioned him earlier, it's gone out with an engine problem. Hence Whaler went out with the wreck. He is definitely out, but 2 other cars still being worked on being the and the car number 44 of Rick Wilson, but both of those cars had a lot of damage from wrecks.
There is Rusty, the leader. 1992, he posted his run of the season on the short track at Richmond. And the interval between the two is really stabilized. Rusty is pulled away to maybe a second or a second and a half advantage over Mark, and that's where they continue to run as they move through traffic. There is Lake Speed.
Kyle Petty is third, Ernie Irvan fourth, Dale Earnhardt is fifth, Ricky Roll is sixth, Earl Jarrett is seventh. Darrell Waltrip now has moved into eighth. Brett Bodine is sort of going backwards after that pit stop.
And Jerry has an update on that story.
I just talked to Harold Scott here in the Motograph pit and told me that Jeff Bodine has a skipping problem. The motor is missing. He has gone up to full speed. And certainly out here on this short racetrack with these kind of speeds, that makes you almost a sitting duck to be passed pretty easily in the corner.
You don't have that power coming off of those turns. It is caution flag. He, like Dale Jarrett, had pitted at lap 28, so they were both getting ready for a pit stop. And the caution helped both of them.
Now Mark Martin is right on the spoiler of Rusty Wallace as Wallace got a little loose.
And like a little loose that time, Martin was on the turn 2. So look at Martin coming on the inside. Rusty is very loose. And Martin just floated right on by. Takes over the lead.
Wow, nice move by Mark Martin. Let's see what happens. He was trying to lap a slower car. That's the 20 car.
Man. That's a 52 car, Jimmy Means. And Rusty goes up. Look, it looks like he had a flat tire or something, man.
Well, he's wondering himself if maybe he might have cut that tire down. But after he rides a few laps here, and if it stays up and everything's okay, well, then he'll probably pick back up speed. And it looks like he has done that. But he had to be riding, wondering what was going on back there. Did he cut that tire down? Did he knock a quarter panel in against the tire? But everything looks okay.
So the new leader of the Food City 500, Mark Martin, over Rusty Wallace. We'll be back with more of our live coverage right after this. Mark Martin, who has never won here at Bristol, but who has 5 top 5 finishes, is the current leader of this race. There's Rusty Wallace in car number 2 running in second spot. High overhead from the Family Channel Blip, watching the action down below.
Rusty having some trouble getting by Joe Rutland. That's allowing Mark Martin to put 2 or 3 seconds on him.
You don't have to lift on that accelerator but just a little bit when you're up on the high side of another race car. And yeah, it is 1 or 2 seconds.
Here is the suspension cam on Mark Martin's car. Now, you can see several things. Yeah, watch the springs.
Watch that. Man, oh man, can you see that spring compress as he goes through that corner?
And watch the tires. The shape of the tires change.
Well, I tell you, the tires really take a beating here as hard as they barrel into the turns. And the weight of that 3,500-pound race car is shifted right over there to that wheel.
Man, testimonial for Goodyear, who built some fine tires to put these drivers on.
And to the ball joints and the A-frames, all of the steering parts. Really,
it's a big, awesome shot, isn't it?
That's why we call them, that's why they have to be race cars, because there's not a street car in the world that would take that kind of abuse.
Here's Martin moving to the inside of Wally Dallenbach Jr.
Car owned by Jack Roush.
He puts him 2 laps down. Wally is 17th. Here's Kyle Petty and Dale Earnhardt.
Now, Earnhardt's doing better now. Whatever little problem he had there when we were watching him, he has picked up now. And there was push in the car. It seems to be working so fast that he's on the move.
Earnhardt back in 5th spot.
And when I say work itself out, usually if you have a push, the longer you run, the tires get heated up a little bit, and then that push tends to go away. On most racetracks, every once in a while, especially on a flat racetrack, sometimes it can get worse. But on a high bank racetrack, it normally is a little bit better.
The 4 car of Ernie Irvin has closed in on the 2nd place car of Rusty Wallace considerably in the last few laps. Now he's caught behind Wally Dallenbach Jr. and loses ground, but Ernie Irvin's got a pretty fast race car.
He's had an awfully fast race car. It's like you said, Bob, he's been gaining. We've been watching back in the field and what have you, but Ernie Irvin is coming.
Here's somebody else that's coming, gaining and gaining. The ground that he lost, Dale Earnhardt, knocking on the door for 4th. And there's the leader, Mark Martin.
Terry Gann is back in the Stolen Bandit Chevrolet. He's 166 laps down, but after running as many laps as he can, Earnhardt takes over the position.
Dale Earnhardt moves to 4th, passing Kyle Petty.
You can see how much slower he's running on the racetrack. Earnhardt I'm talking about than he did just a few laps ago, because Ned's right. See how close to that yellow line he is on the bottom of the racetrack? Those tires now, they've got more. He's slowed down, he's adjusted to them, he's able to stay on the bottom.
His car, before they made the pit stop, was riding a little bit high on the older tires, and so they made that adjustment on it. And once he gets the tires worn down a little bit, it seems to really be working for him. Talking about Dale Earnhardt, of course, what Mark Martin's group done with that Ford is working for him.
His crew didn't do the front of that. Mark did that himself, folks. He ran the back of someone. like their grandmother's car, but it's running great.
And that's all that counts.
You're not implying that grandmother would have a big fender.
No, absolutely. I did not say that. Someone down there said something about that.
Now Artie Irvin again is right on the back bumper of Rusty Wallace.
His Russell car is a little bit too loose down there. Appears to be. He's not able to get on the accelerator the way he was earlier. Just the reverse of Dale Earnhardt. And here's Ernie. He's closed in right on the back bumper.
Whenever he has a run in Wallace, he's able to close in. Gets strung out. Now here is Irvin taking the position from Rusty. Rusty moved up and let Ernie go.
It could be that aerodynamics is playing, if they're running fast enough here and there, that aerodynamics is playing a role. Maybe when Ernie pulled up behind Rusty, it made his car a little bit looser, so he backed off to let Ernie go by.
I would say we talked about the speed on the straightaway here. Their average speed around the racetrack in qualifying was almost 122 miles an hour, and you do have to decelerate into both turns. So I would say we haven't had a gun on the cars on the straightaway, but I would say they run 150, 155 miles an hour. So definitely have to come into play.
And Rusty hasn't set a word.
And in turn 3, Dale Jarrett into the wall hard, backs in. Everybody else trying to get slowed down. Appears to be a one-car accident, but boy, Dale really went in hard.
Just stay there, Dale. Just stay right there while these guys get by. Here comes Jeff Bodine trying to get a lap back. Morgan Shepherd. They all get a lap back.
Jarrett has moved up to 6th place.
Yeah, he was running well.
He was really running good. He'd come out of the pits in 8th after the pit stops and then did it on the backstretch.
Boy, a car can get out and running so quickly.
Is that what happened?
I did not consider it.
I caught it in the corner of my eye, and it just looked like it got out from under.
He's heading to the backstretch. He doesn't have very much steering on it. Martin.
Here comes Mark Martin, and let's go to Jerry Punch.
Our leader in a heavily damaged Valvoline Ford Thunderbird comes down pit road behind him. Also Rusty Wallace, Ernie Irvin, and Dale Earnhardt. As the front 4 cars come down to get service from their crews, Martin will get a 4-tire change, as will Irvin, Earnhardt, and Rusty Wallace. Right side tires going in. Left side tires coming down on the Mark Martin car. You'll be able to see now Mark Martin's crew working very diligently. Left side lug nuts on. Martin trying to get out to Ernie Irvin. Here's Mark Martin spinning the car. And once again, Dale Earnhardt has to back up to be able to get off the pit road. And now he will follow the 42 car of Kyle Petty back to turn 1.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt was once again blocked in by Jeff Bodine, who was just in front. They had the hood up on the Bodine car. Took him a few more seconds to get his service finished.
And Brett Bodine, meanwhile, sitting on pit road, is about to get lapped.
And he continues to sit on pit road. There we see Brett. The car is down off the Jackson. He will get out and not lose a lap. We'll be right back. The NASCAR Winston Cup Food City 500 from Bristol International Raceway coming to you live. We are under caution because of an incident up in turn 3 involving Dale Jarrett.
You ever see the guys change to the left side? Mark Martin has to turn ahead to right, but Earnhardt can't get out. Has to back up once again because Jeff Bodine is right on
the second time that Dale has had to back up before going out.
Here we see Rusty Wallace on pit road. Here comes Ernie Irvin's going to come out second. Mark Martin third. Our leader goes from first to third. Here comes Kyle Petty. Earnhardt comes up fifth.
And overhead from the blimp, you can see how tight the pits are. There's Jeff Bodine moving into his pit space. You can see that there is just no room for Dale to pull out. And so he has to back up.
One of the problems, Bodine's back end of his car was sticking so far out on pit road. He was legal as far as that part was concerned, but it was very tough for Earnhardt to get out.
Well, my apologies to Dale Jarrett. I said that it appears as if it just got out from under him. There was apparently some contact between Dale and Bobby Hillin Jr. because Dale went onto the racetrack in the caution period, and you can see what happened. Obviously, Dale
he was not very smart
about the situation.
Angry with John, with Bobby Hillin. John Kern, is he cool down yet?
Well, Dale is discussing things along with crew chief Jimmy Maycar and a NASCAR official. Dale also getting some words of encouragement from some other crew members. And Dale, I know it's a tough time right now, but what happened out there?
It's the car that's laps down, the idiot, drives off into the corner and ran into the side of him. That's all you can say, you know. People just don't use their heads sometimes. You know, if I've been in a wreck and I'm laps down, I try to give the guys, you know, there's not a lot of room here anyways. Obviously, he doesn't use his head. It's a shame. We had a fast race car, and takes us right out of the points and everything.
Dale Jarrett, obviously very, very hot right now, guys. And, you know, this is typical of some short track racing. You see these guys, a lot of things happen very quickly out here. If a car doesn't get out of your way, then you're in the wall.
We see Bob Williams going down to the bottom of the racetrack. I don't know if he's going to let all the cars, I guess he's letting all the cars go by. He's falling in the behind.
Well, we, of course, are involved in the short track part of the Winston Cup season here. We'll be at North Wilkesboro, at Martinsville, and when we have these tight racetracks, you do have contact with other drivers, and very often tempers flare, and that's just part of the game.
Well, it is. It's tough to handle, but you need to really keep that temper down as much as you possibly can. Although I've been in those same positions, and it's hard to hold the temper when you have a good car.
Urban is knocking on Rusty Wallace. Really a three-car battle as Mark Martin comes up.
And once again, we saw Mark Martin earlier. In 10 or 15 laps, he stayed about this relatively different. After the time comes Mark Martin didn't go to the front. We'll see if they can do it again. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt there for the third spot, fourth spot from Kyle Petty.
Kyle is fifth.
Again, we don't see anybody that's able to run with Rusty Wallace at this point because he is staying about 2 car lengths ahead. Ernie staying just about that distance ahead of third place Martin. 20 laps completed. We're nearing the halfway point of this City 500. Rusty is the leader, back after these messages. Still a 3-car battle up front. Wallace, Urban, and Martin. Not too far behind in 4th position, although almost a full straightaway. Kyle Petty and Dale Earnhardt.
Kyle Petty just went back around Dale Earnhardt the last lap. Now Earnhardt trying to go back around him. Rick 4th and 5th. Ricky Buddy 6th. Darrell Waltrip is 7th. I left out Derek Coach a moment ago. He was supposed to be showing 8th, and the Bowman was 4th.
Here's how Kyle got the spot.
Got position on Earnhardt. Evidently, Dale Earnhardt lost a little traction going off turn 4. And Kyle will run down. Here goes Earnhardt back by.
Kyle just moved up and let him go. I think Kyle realized the reason he was able to get around Earnhardt. He caught him when he perhaps broke traction just for a little bit. So he came back up and Kyle realized he was a little faster than him, so let him go.
While we have the opportunity here, let us salute a couple of people. First of all, NASCAR Winston Cup director Gary Nelson and his wife had a little baby last night. William Arnold, who checked in at 7 pounds 8 ounces, 19 and a half inches long, born yesterday at Presbyterian Hospital in Charlotte. And Bill France Jr., the president of NASCAR, celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Bill. Should we tell how old he is?
One of those zeros, man, this is rough. Mark Martin trying to close in on the back of Ernie Irvin.
Olympic staying in car camera, being carried by Mark Martin.
Bill France Jr. is approximately the same age as me, and I'm 60.
Well, that narrows it down, doesn't it? Thank you, Dan.
Now Mark has got to try to get back before he gets back to Rusty. That might be pretty tough.
Rusty, meanwhile, is approaching Joe Rudman and Kenny Wallace.
I think you're right. After Mark Martin runs for 15 really starts coming in.
Yeah, those guys were able to outrun him for about 10 or 15 minutes. Right now, he gets fast as he looks inside. Ernie, alongside Ernie Irvin.
He's got him. Mark moves to second.
Martin.
Easy for me to say. Rusty's in traffic. Mark's going to be able to close in for the moment. Rusty heads to the high side of the racetrack to pass Joe Ruttman.
Let's Mark at the bottom line, the preferred group, and see how much time he takes. Mark closed in. Now Mark has to pass on the outside.
And Rusty got back to the inside, so that distance will widen out once again. Of course, now Rusty passing his brother, which he shouldn't have much problem, passing Kenny Wallace in the dirt battle Pontiac.
Kenny is 17th.
They have to go in the corner, come up, just barely miss the other car. Just barely miss Kenny Wallace. Now he tries to get in the corner, tries to get as low as he can. And then come off the corner right on the bottom.
Well, even though they're getting the Passover flag when they come around, that means move to the inside of the racetrack, let the leaders know. It still is a tough pass because the outside groove is not nearly as fast as that inside groove, and you really have to be very careful up there, and they lose a lot of time. They pass something walking some of them, and it would be from a half to a second to lap that they lose when they get up on the outside of the car. It's a car that's not even passing forward.
Yeah, that's right.
Moving out of the way and giving the racing room.
Even though there's a tremendous speed differential between the car passing and the one being passed, it's still difficult to get around. Well, Rusty Wallace is in command here at Bristol as we continue our live coverage of the Food City 500. Stay with us. We'll be right back. That's how it's done. I love the sound of a pit stop, too.
I do, too. And, you know, it's great that we don't have all the car noise above.
Yeah, right.
You know, great water, the impact wrench and everything else. And look here, Mark closing in right on the back bumper off Rusty Wallace.
They make a lap around the shop, I understand, to set up the thing.
To come into the pit stop. Yeah.
Mark Martin running in second position. Rusty Wallace and Mark is right there with Rusty. Here's a Fran Field summary. Now the cars were running last lap. We have passed the halfway point. We completed 255 of the 500 laps. You can see 13 cars are now on the lead lap with Brett Bodine, who is currently 14th, started second position, being the first car lapped down.
Mike mentioned that Rick Wilson is back out in the Richard Petty STP Pontiac. He was in for major long repairs after he got into the wall.
I'll tell you what, Mark Martin is being held up right now. He's trying to come on the inside.
The crowd rose to its feet here on the main straightaway. The fans are up cheering, and they're now seeing Mark Martin take the lead away from Rusty. Here's Morgan Shepherd and Davey Allison in the battle for 11th position.
And they're on two cars in the lead. They're running as hard as they can to try to stay out in front and stay in the lead lap. In fact, Mark Martin is coming up on Jeff Bodine, the last car in the lead lap, currently running in the 13th position.
And you know, of all the victories that the Wood brothers have experienced in their long association in Winston Cup racing, they've never won a race here. And there is the leader, and you can see how close those cars are to being lapped.
There's Jeff Bodine. They had the hood up on that car on the pit stop, trying to cure that mist that Jerry Punch was talking about. It doesn't appear as though they've been successful.
Jeff Bodine and Ted Musgrave remain between Mark Martin and Davey.
Oh, and Ernie Irvin spins hard, crashes in the wall up in turn one. There he is.
Bristol bites another top contender.
So this is safe. Jeff Bodine, Davey Allison, Morgan Shepherd from going the lap down.
Ernie Irvin is running third. Crashes into the second turn wall.
He's driving the car away. I just saw the tail end of it. I was kind of like you a while ago, Bob. I just saw the tail end of it, and I don't know.
And I might say you almost scared me to death.
A good bit of damage done to the left rear quarter panel. They'll be able to pull that out and keep him going. The car might be probably get the rear clip. Now pit stop time.
This is the 8th caution of the day. Mark Martin has found his pits. Jerry punches there.
Lap 263, Rusty Wallace brings another genuine draft Pontiac on the pit road. Taking a look at his crew going to work. 6 at the top of your screen, Mark Martin, Valvoline Ford on the bottom of your screen. The Pontiac being serviced. Left side tires now going on Rusty Wallace's car. Left side tires, likewise on Mark Martin's Ford Thunderbird. Wallace's car is down and away in 17.4 seconds. Here is the car, Mark Martin and Kyle Petty in that order back on the speedway.
Ricky Rudd also pulling out. Davey Allison is away, so is Michael Waltrip. The Citgo Ford of Morgan Shepherd remains on pit road. Now it's down off the jacks and is moving. The Ernie Irvan car has been pulled behind the wall to get some repairs. And here is Irvan's mishap in replay. I don't know, did he get touched there by that white car?
I don't know if he did or not. That's no. Hard to tell. Let's see. Let's back to that. Back to that. Doesn't look like it.
Right at the bottom right corner of your screen.
No.
It's hard to say from that angle and shot. In any case, Irvan did slide up to the wall and damages the Kodak Film Chevrolet. He's behind the wall. We're under our 8th caution of the day, and we'll be back in a moment. At Bristol, still under caution. Work going on the Kodak Film Chevrolet, driven by Ernie Irvan, who crashed, winning third. Here's Jerry.
Trying to repair the Kodak Chevrolet. Ernie still sitting in the car. Ernie, what happened up there?
Well, I was passing 75 going outside, and I don't know if I come down on him or he just got up into me, but it's just one of them deals. There are a lot of cars running around slow, and this racetrack's too narrow for that.
Ernie Irvan short and sweet, but apparently his car looped into the wall. Heavy damage on both the front and rear of this Kodak Chevrolet. No chance at victory. They're going to try to get it back in and get some valuable Winston Cup points. We are under caution here at Bristol International Raceway. 267 laps in the books. Back with more after this.
Just as you rejoin us, we go back to green. Rusty Wallace leading now Dale Earnhardt in second position. And Mark Martin in
That's exactly what I was thinking, man. I don't believe so.
No, he has not. Wallace, Martin, Jarrett, Michael, Brett, Shepard, Allison, and Jeff all led laps, but not Earnhardt. 5 points.
I tell you what, it doesn't look like he's going to have enough strength to go up past Rusty Wallace to lead the race. Rusty Carlington.
He has led the most laps, 179 so far, and Mark Martin has led the second most number of laps, 36.
Here's a crash. That's the 8 car.
Sterling Marlin is into the wall.
No, still no caution flag.
Yeah,
you can see some damage to the right front.
That's the second accident he's been involved in. Jerry, did you see that down there?
Bob, it happened right in front of us here, Bob, on the first straightaway. Sterling Marlin trying to go around the car number 20 of Joe Ruttman. They came together. Marlin's car veered directly up against the wall, tagged the concrete. He kept the car up on the high groove out of the traffic lane, and thus we have no caution.
And he has taken the Rebestas car behind the wall down at the entrance to pit road here on the front stretch. So they'll go to work on that now. No caution there. It's 75 laps on in the books. Boy, it is a good battle up front.
Mark Martin has caught down Earnhardt.
For second. Mark Martin to the outside, Earnhardt to the inside.
And a spin. Bobby Lamont spins over in turn 2. Just goes up, maybe touches the wall a little bit, not much.
Just barely grazed it. He's headed the wrong direction at the entrance of the backstretch.
Careful, boys, careful. Woo. Man, oh man, this is Brett Bodine trying to get a lap back.
He's racing Rusty Wallace hard. He gets down to the inside. Brett spins right front of Mark Martin when he spins to the inside of the racetrack.
Stop it right there. Don't hit. He did hit a thing. Perfect.
So it really didn't cost him very much. He lost some track position. He didn't get the lap back. Here's the last lap. Now let's watch what Brett Bodine does when the accident occurs.
Okay, the spin had already happened. You saw Bobby Labonte's car, and here comes Brett Bodine in the green car on the outside of Earnhardt, on the inside of Mark Martin. Races hard off of turn 4, trying to get under Rusty Wallace, and they touch a little bit, and just enough to send Brett around.
So Brett Bodine doesn't get the lap back, spins in the process. We'll take another break and be right back with more from Bristol. The Family Channel blimp is providing the aerial coverage for today's race. It's currently on a 93 Goodwill tour, making a number of appearances at sporting events, concerts, and fairs across the country. This thing measures 132 feet in length and has a capacity to accommodate up to 4 passengers with the pilot, Steve Tomlin. Now, here's how Brett Bodine's incident looked from the blimp.
There he goes on the inside of Mark, as Ned said. Here's Rusty Wallace. Now Brett tries to get alongside, drives on the apron of the racetrack. It's too flat down there, loses control, loops around, stops her just in the nick of time. Jerry Punch.
Brett Bodine made 2 pit stops, 2 caution flags ago. The second pit stop, a lengthy one to adjust the Panhard bar because the car was so loose. That put him at the back of the field, thus got him caught in traffic, got him lapped. So he is a lap down, but he has a very fast race car. We're going green.
Green flag comes out. Brett Bodine, by the way, is showing in 13th position as the green comes out, and Rusty leads them down again, followed by Martin Earnhardt.
His car did not hit this caution flag. Only a few laps since the last caution flag. They made their pit stops, so no one hit.
Kyle Petty is 4th, and Derek Jones is running in 5th spot. Good run for Derek Jones.
Well, Bob Johnson, all right, he has had some fast race cars here in Bristol over the years. He just has a great setup for this racetrack. He's very coached as a good race driver, so he's
Here's our Western Auto race summary. Rusty Wallace has led 184 to 275 laps. 12 cars are on the lead lap. We've had 8 leaders, 12 lead changes, 8 caution periods, total 43 laps. The average speed is 86.61 miles an hour. Here's the drivers who have led. Rusty the most, followed by Martin, then Jarrett, who's out of the race. Another crash. Several cars.
Jeff Bodine runs right into his brother. He couldn't help it, of course.
Ted Musgrave was involved. Jeff Bodine there is the damage on the front end of the motor.
Michael Walker stalled his car. Let him get it going now. He's got a flat left rear tires. His problem, he can't get going.
Here's a replay.
Cars, this is going in turn 3. They come down the front straightaway. Now we see the Ted Musgrave car. Oh, and he gets squeezed up. Is that Wally Dallenbach on the outside?
Yep, it is.
He comes up, thinks he has the Dallenbach cleared. He didn't. He goes up and spins. We see Brett Bodine spin. Michael Walter goes down, makes contact with someone. He goes around. Now watch Jeff come in and run right in the side of poor Brett.
Yep. Michael Walker is in the pits. Here's John.
Bob, they're just going to change left tire. The left rear tire was flat. It doesn't look like there's any other damage to the race car on this side, but it looks like now they may bring Michael back in one more time. It's just a left side tire change, Michael.
And Jerry is in Brett Bodine's pit.
Well, actually, the Bodine brothers pitting nose to tail here. Brett and Jeff. Brett's car, significant damage in the left front fender. The Quaker State Ford, that's the injury from the motorcraft Ford hitting him in the left front side. They tried to pull some of the sheet metal away. They've changed tires. Don't have a lot of time here without losing any more time. They are going to lose. They're about to lose. Nonetheless, the race car and Jerry puts it back in gear and just keeps that car one lap down instead of losing the second lap. He will be back on that road here in just a moment.
Brett is carrying one of our in-car cameras, and let's take a look from that perspective.
There's it down back on the outside. This is going to turn 3. Ted Musgrave, the Jasper engine car right in the
several of the cars. Still under caution. Take a break. Back with more after this. Back live at Bristol International Raceway in Tennessee. Here in the Mechanic of the Year standings, Andy Petrie is on top. Steve Meal second. Donnie Wingo third. Buddy Parrott fourth. And Dunny Glover is fifth. Tony Glover is fifth in the Western Auto Mechanic of the Year standings. And I have a feeling that all these guys are going to be very busy in the next couple of weeks rebuilding race cars.
Yeah, put some sheet metal back on these cars. Probably Danny Glover.
Oh, is that right?
Lethal weapon. Here's the leader, Rusty Wallace.
I think he has probably the most lethal weapon of all. Pontiac has led most of the way, although Martin and Earnhardt have been strong.
Kyle Petty, the fourth place car, once again the Bojangles fourth.
That thing looks pretty clean, at least on the right side.
Don't say that. Because all the Gary Cope fans have been calling us and say, why did he jinx him?
Gary Cope fans can take pride in their driver because he has a great race.
Turning to being shown in the fifth position. The 15 car, Motown is behind. He is behind the wall. They're waiting on him. And Bill Parsons has just gone out as well.
Jeff Bodine, obviously the windshield washer mechanism has malfunctioned. Is that right, Ben?
No. It's overheating, and that's the water.
Oh, is that right?
Out of the radiator, yeah.
Jerry, what do you know?
Well, the reason he's overheating is the radiator has been pushed back into the passenger's compartment of the car. That makes it tough to cool it. They are trying to replace the radiator, a lot of the front part of the car. As you see, Jeff Bodine sitting as patiently as you can actually be when the front half of your race car has been sawed away, with the Motorcraft crew working diligently to get him back in the race and pick up some valuable Winston Cup points.
All right, on the racetrack, it is the fifth place car of Derek Cope.
There's Ricky Rudd, the Tide Chevrolet.
Has sixth place. Musgrave's got a bit of damage on that 55 Jasper Engines US Air Ford.
He's back to the wall down turn one. Couple laps to go.
Where's he running there, Benny? 18th?
Yeah, 18th position is where Musgrave is running.
The 28 car is running 7th. And there we see Darrell Waltrip. He's the 8th place car.
That is incredible, isn't it? How Darrell has been able to work himself into the top 10 and stay there despite the fact he running back, started 35th.
Jeff Gordon was several laps down in that 24 car. He had an overheated stock, but
Darrell Waltrip, 5 wins in this race, 7 wins in the qualifying. And we might explain that he started back in 35th position because he had some problems during qualifying. Not that he ran so slow that he couldn't make the race. He had problems.
yeah, he's doing engine on Friday. He did it in practice, and then Saturday, I really didn't talk to him for Saturday. Qualifying. You can see that he has one of those cars.
He sure does.
Behind him, we saw a race between Spencer and the 21 car, Morgan Shepherd. Spencer takes a spot away. That was for 9th spot.
John Curtin has a follow-up to all that he's talking about.
Well, you talk about how Darrell Waltrip is running really well. How about Davey Allison? He's running on only 7 cylinders. In fact, he had told Larry McReynolds in the crew not long ago that the car is running really well. He feels that if he had a full 8 cylinders under the hood, he might be able to run with Rusty and the rest of the game.
Well, Darrell Waltrip is currently 8th, and Davey Allison is 7th. Jerry, you have anything else?
Well, Benny mentioned that it's been a Murphy's Law weekend for Darrell Waltrip. He blew an engine prior to qualifying. He hurriedly put an engine in, did not get a chance to get a good lap in. And then yesterday, their scales broke. The electric scales they have here, battery operated, so they had to borrow a set of scales. They couldn't get the car weight correctly. They went the wrong way on the chassis. The car was too loose to run around. They couldn't qualify it again, so we had to start 35th, shotgun on the field. But like DW said, I was first in the last race, and I was last in this race, so maybe I can rearrange it.
Western Auto Chevrolet. 18th position.
of the Western Auto.
Has trouble, Bill Elliott. Ford spins around, into the wall, back down on the inside of the track.
That car was damaged already in the front end, and now more damage has been done to Bill's car. And Elliott just can't get a break this year.
Well, they sure can. Racing back to the line. Let's see. Rusty Wallace will win the race back. Mark Martin second, Earnhardt third.
And John Kernan has more on Bill Elliott.
Well, I was talking with Mike Beam today, and he said that they have had probably the worst luck that anybody can ever remember on the Winston Cup circuit after the type of year Bill had last year in his inaugural season with Junior Johnson. Mike and Bill both say this toughness, the bad luck, it shows you what you're really made of. They're not giving up. They're going to keep working harder and harder and harder, and they'll be back to get him at North Wilkesboro.
He's currently 23rd in the point standings. Last year at this time, he had already won 4 races. Now, the front pits begin to get busy after Bill Elliott's spin up there and crashed up in turn number 2. Here's Jerry once again with the call of the pit stop.
You saw Rusty Wallace slow down and almost stop in the middle of pit road. He did that because the rules preclude him from being able to pass the safety car, which is running parallel to him on the racetrack. He would have been penalized. A very wise move by a veteran driver. Now they put left side tires on the car. They have a large tire mark on the left front fender just behind the left front wheel. They pull that tire mark out. Here is Dale Earnhardt down pit road, Ricky Rudd, Davey Allison, and of course Mark Martin. Back to turn 1.
Meanwhile, over in turn number 2, the ambulance took over there, but I think that Bill is okay. Benny?
I tell you what, Mark Martin, I talked to the guys before and said he needs to stop shorter. He's getting too close to Earnhardt. This time he stopped, but he stopped. The back end was hanging over that yellow line. So when they changed the right sides, the NASCAR official made him push the car forward before he could go around and change the left sides, which cost him more seconds. And you can see all those cars going by. He lost 4 or 5 spots because of that stopping too short.
Mark Martin rejoining the race, and Ernie Irvin also will come back out when we go green in a few moments at Bristol. Bristol International Raceway in Tennessee for the NASCAR Winston Cup Food City 500, which is 313 laps in out of 500. Getting set for a restart after an incident involving Bill Elliott. He's okay. He had contact with the wall in turn number 2.
Here's the last pit stop, and here comes Davey Allison already moving. A great pit stop on his part. Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, and Davey Allison comes out from where? 7th spot to 3rd spot on the pit stop.
Now, Jimmy Spencer did not make a pit stop until after they did. He led the race. He stayed out there and led the race, as a matter of fact. And so now Rusty Wallace is back in the lead.
There we see Mark Martin on the line. Meanwhile, we're fixing to go green flag, Bob.
Green flag comes out, back to racing. Rusty Wallace has a couple of cars ahead of him trying to get laps back. Wally Dallenbach, he'll dispose of him or try to down the backstretch. And Michael Walker is also.
Ricky Rudd has a problem with the 5 car, the Tide Chevrolet. Boy, he went very high in turns 1 and 2, going high in turns 3 and 4. Everybody going by. He had come out into 4th position, but Ricky Rudd has a problem. He has to go down and goes back out on the racetrack now. Watch Rudd going very, very slowly. There you see Sterling Baldwin is back after major repair to that car once again.
Rudd may have lost the cylinder, you think? Or, well,
he's lost more than that.
Yeah, it's more than that.
Here comes Rusty trying to get on the inside of Michael Walker. And he does put Michael a lap down again.
Puts him 2 laps down? 2 or 3, yeah. And Rudd is in the pits. Here's John.
Very unfortunate for Ricky Rudd. Apparently it cut down a right front tire. Gary Dehart and the crew putting on right side tires, waiting for the lug nuts to go on. Rudd is down and away to losing some valuable positions out on the racetrack. In fact, as he goes out pit road, Rusty Wallace puts him down a lap.
Tough break for the 2nd week in a row for Ricky Rudd. Cars run well, but doesn't go the distance.
There's the top line all day. I think that only put Michael Walker Rudd lap down. He had stayed out there and was at the head of the pack. He had got clapped when he got involved in that spin over there. But I think he's only 1 lap down this time. He's still in 10th position.
1 lap down, you're right, man. Wallace, who was on pole sitter, can go on and win this race. 179 laps from the finish.
I think the only car that's passed him today was Mark Martin, and Mark came out of the pits very late there. In fact, he's doing something right now in the third position, but he came out like fifth. But he's passed a couple of cars now, so he's pretty far behind Rusty.
Morgan Shepherd and Kyle Petty are in a good battle for position.
Right in front of him is Darrell Walter. That's position. Darrell is in 6th, that's 6th, 7th, and 8th. He's on the inside of Rick Mast, the Stowe Classic car.
Now Rick is a lap down. He's in 14th position. 2 laps down, actually.
Rick stays up out of the way. That's all the cars go by on the inside.
Here's the roof cam and the telemetry.
Morgan Shepherd's car. Let's say down to 96 miles per hour. He accelerates down the front straightaway.
And 125 at the top. Climbing on the brake.
8,100.
I thought they run a little faster than that on the straightaway.
Well, man, some of them do. Some of them did. Morgan Shepherd's car is off the pace of Russell 8,300 that time. So the car's not nearly as good as it was early in the race, so to sit there forward. See West Speed's Brewing's car on the inside.
Wally Dallin back in the Keystone there. That's Rick Wilson.
Wally Dallin back having a good run here today, after being shown in 13th position.
Morgan comes up on the inside of Wally. And here comes Kyle Petty right behind him.
Yes, closes in right on the back bumper. Morgan working the way down the straightaway like he's really getting off the corner well. And Kyle is a little bit loose, pushing something off the corner. Kyle close up on the back bumper of that car through the corner.
Now Kyle to the inside in the backstretch. He has a half a car length going into 3. They go through the corner side by side, and now Kyle takes over that position.
That would be 7th position.
Kyle really runs fast through the middle of the corner. He has trouble, seems to have trouble getting off the corner. Like there might be something wrong with his car.
Here's the green flag average, 108.096 when you factor out the caution laps of the weekend. The right front on Kyle's car may be going down here.
So you can run down on the bottom of the racetrack, though. John Cutting, what do you know about that?
Robin Pemberton and the crew and the spotter upstairs are watching very anxiously, along with Felix Cervantes as Kyle flashes by in the front straightaway. He goes into the corner, then it feels like the right front tire is softening, and it's slowly losing air pressure. They are staying out on the racetrack right now. As soon as Kyle feels that he shouldn't come in, he will come down on pit road, but right now he is staying out there.
Doesn't seem to be slowing him down any right now.
He's still running a pretty good clip. See what he does when he goes up on the outside of Ernie Irvin. So that's when the car is pushing. That's when he really tells. Morgan Shepherd moved right back up on him, and he had to go around there rather gingerly.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Spencer is running the back bumper of this car.
This is a three-car battle for position.
Spencer Morgan have had some pretty good battles out there today. Spencer pitting on the backstretch. There's still two cars on the lap that are pitting on the backstretch, and that is Darrell Walter and Jimmy Spencer. We're watching 7th, 8th, and 9th.
It's hard to think about the car is low on the racetrack as it is, and you have the right foot car on the back.
Rusty Wallace continues to lead this race with 336 laps completed over Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Davey Allison, and Derek Cope. Here's John Kernan.
Davey Allison's last 2 pit stops, his crew has been so fast, and now the fall down with the jack. His crew has been so fast that they have picked up 8 spots on the racetrack. Now let's go down to Rusty's pit with Jerry Martin.
Right side tires on the left side on Rusty's out of the way. We're waiting for Earnhardt to come by. Here comes the Goodrich Chevrolet. Here comes Davey. but Mark Martin will beat Davey Allison down pit road. And here's the Bojangles car of Derek Cope headed back in front of Kyle Petty.
Morgan Shepherd beat them all out, but I think he only took on gas in the Citgo Ford. Morgan is not one of those that's led so far today, so I guess he wants to lead the race.
Inside Morgan Shepherd's car as he lines up, getting ready for a restart here in Bristol, but it'll be a couple of more laps. We'll be right back. ESPN Speed World at the Food City 500 Bristol International Raceway under caution. Morgan Shepherd will have the lead when we go back to caution, and this is why we are under this caution period. Another weight has fallen out of a car and landed on the racetrack, and the NASCAR inspector checking that over to see if there's a number on it to determine what car it might have fallen out of. Now, where would that be in terms of location on the race car?
Probably stuck in the left frame rail. They have little caps that go over to hold them in there. And maybe that cap broke or the bolt broke and hold the cap on and just slid out of the frame rail. Now then, they position them in that frame rail, and obviously they don't fill the whole frame rail up with lead because that would be too much. So to take the space up that's not required by lead, they put 2x4s in there. So in Richmond, the 40 car, Kenny Wallace, the 2x4 caught on fire.
Oh, no kidding.
Caught on fire, so he had to make a pit stop to put the 2x4.
Okay, here we go back to green. Morgan Shepherd is the leader. Rusty is second. Earnhardt, Martin, and Davey Allison. And Morgan makes sure he gets off the caution flag quickly down to the inside of the racetrack.
Well, we were watching him back for 7:39. Wood Brothers made a quick pit stop. I didn't see the tires when he pulled out of the
Rusty got up high and Mark Cope able to get by.
Got caught up on the outside and lost 2 positions. Earnhardt will be second. Rusty's back to 4th.
Man, oh man.
And they should be able to go the rest of the way. Of course, another 10 more laps to go. And they should be able to go that far. There's not another caution.
Earnhardt's on the inside of Ricky Rudd. Rudd was hard just a couple of laps down.
Looks like going into one.
He had a flat tire. Ricky Rudd did the power showing.
He's 2 laps down. Currently being shown in the 11th position.
Now separating first and second is Brett Bodine at 26th.
Brett ran this one this time. And he's on the inside of Morgan. So he may get it done.
Coming out for the lead. Earnhardt just about to take his first turn.
Get back to the start finish line to get 5 bonus points.
And Rusty Wallace comes along also.
He now has the 5 bonus points like everyone else.
Now let's see what happens as they go through the 4th corner. Again, Earnhardt goes up the track a little bit, but maintains the lead.
Now you see Brad is giving him race room up there, but Brad is running very fast down on the inside, and it is tough to pass up there.
Here comes Marcus. They're going to try it again. Marcus is afraid to go on the inside. Brett Bodine and Rusty Wallace.
Brett slowed down a little more that time going into the turn. Earnhardt was able to get all the way up there. He'll make the pass now to be able to get back on the inside of turn 3. Mark Martin has Brett to pass.
on the same lap, battling for position and not too far behind this group was Darrell Waltrip. And
contact there. Got it out of shape. And he and Ricky Rudd are racing for position. They're both 2 laps down. Now Ricky Rudd is moved on way where it's car gets a little bit more loose and gets on the outside, so the frame will go by.
Yep. Just like we'll see in Talladega a few weeks from now when we go there on the 2.6-mile track. It's the same difference. Oh, and Kenny Wallace spins in turn 2.
And here comes Martin back to the line. They're racing to the line. It's Earnhardt winning.
And Kenny let his car slide down the banking out of harm's way. And now Ernie Irvin spins.
No caution. No caution yet.
Everybody is down on the apron of the track, although Irvin's car is headed in the wrong direction.
Still no caution.
There we go.
Yeah, caution flag comes out, but Mark Martin has the lead.
Mark Martin got around Dale Earnhardt, so Martin is the leader.
Morgan Shepherd's going to have to come in and get some tires, I believe.
You think so?
I would think so, because those cars that did take on tires were able to move around him pretty quickly. Yeah. And he accomplished what he wanted to do, and that is to go out and lead, so he'd get 5 bonus points. And the Wood brothers are getting ready. So Morgan is
Here comes
in.
Morgan, yep. And here is a replay when Mark Martin was able to get the lead.
Earnhardt backed off. I'm sure the spotter said that there's a car spinning up there. Earnhardt backed off. Mark Martin kept going and got the lead.
Morgan Shepherd in. Here's John.
It'll be a 4-tire change for Morgan Shepherd. I talked to Eddie Wood a little while ago on that last pit stop they took on fuel only. Eddie said it was because the other pit stops, they would come in because they were so far behind. They wanted to get up front and see what they could do. Also, we said it earlier, Joe, some of the teams have been put on weight training programs. Well, the Wood brothers are one of those teams.
Our encouragement last week of some of the teams to get into shape must have done some good. Now here is Kenny Wallace spinning.
He spun around and just smacks the wall just a little bit, and he comes down out of harm's way.
On the right.
We'll see the 4-car come in the picture, just second spinning, but I don't think he has any brakes. I don't think the 4-car could stop the car, and he got up real high trying to take evasive action because of the car spinning. And the way he stopped the car when he went behind the wall, I think the brakes are completely gone.
Now here are the cars that are not on the lead lap in the pits, and behind the wall is the Kodak Chevrolet once again with Ernie Irvin. There you see Ricky Rudd's car remaining on pit road. Now he's down and away as we get set to go back to action in just a moment at Bristol.
I know.
You dummy. You've only missed about a lap and a quarter under green, and here is Martin sliding up, and Dale Earnhardt taking the lead, and Rusty Wallace taking second.
I think Martin's car was pushing a little bit, and he's having to slow down a little bit more in the turns.
Spins in 4, brings the car to the inside, and slides into a passenger car down there, and scattering everybody. Obviously, couldn't get the car stopped. Well, that was close. I don't know what kind of a car that is down there, but it looks like a foreign exotic job that probably costs as much as the race car.
It shouldn't be parked there, obviously.
Looks like Jeff Gordon and Michael Waltrip may have gotten laps back as they crossed the line. What kind of a car is that, you know?
It's like a Spider. What is a Spider?
I don't know. It's a thing with 8 legs as far as I know. Anyway, here it is again. Watch Rudd as he went into the 3rd corner.
He's on the outside. Is that Brett Bodine?
Yeah.
He goes down, and they just make some contact. And around Rudd goes up, smacks the wall, comes down. He lets off the brakes now. He's going to drive it back to the pits, and all of a sudden the thing goes out of control again for some reason, and heads right for that little car. Man.
A couple of photographers there, about 4 of them, to scatter out of the way.
And just before that happened, here is how Earnhardt got the lead, and Rusty went to second.
He goes in, gets in the back of Mark Martin. Martin has to go up the hill to save the race car, and Earnhardt and Rusty both able to get by.
So that's the way they are now, lined up behind the pace car as the wrecker has arrived at Ricky Rudd's car to pull it from the racing surface. We'll be back in Race teams have brought out their heavy artillery for this one, but you need this on a day like today, huh? Here
Well,
at
I
Bristol.
tell you, yeah, that's not a tank, I don't guess, but you probably do need something like that out there.
Some kind of amphibious vehicle, I would guess. Part of the Persian Gulf War, maybe. Anyway, it's parked down here between turns 1 and 2, and
there's Rudd's car being towed back to the behind pit wall.
See quite a bit of damage to the left rear of the tied Chevrolet.
meanwhile, we are about to go green once again with 372 laps completed. And the enthusiastic race fans, as they always are here at Bristol, are enjoying a great race. Here is Dale Earnhardt leading Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, Davey Allison, and Darrell Waltrip, who is 5th. Can you believe that?
No, I really can't. Now, starting 35th and really looking back.
And none of them made pit stops to lead this race, so that indicates that they are planning to go the rest of the way. They've got something down the field for the rest of the way.
Rusty Wallace is about to take the lead from Earnhardt. Tried to get it down the backstretch. Rusty has the preferred inside line and takes the lead back from Dale.
This looks like 89 and 90 all over again, Ned, doesn't it?
It sure does. We saw those guys race many, many times, battle back and forth.
And it just follows up the comment that we had during last week's race, and that is black is not necessarily Earnhardt black, but Rusty Wallace black as well, and Davey Allison. Jerry?
Richard Childress has told me that Earnhardt's car seems to be a little bit tight on brand new tires. They put tires on about 20 laps ago. Need about 30 to 40, even closer to 50 laps for the car really to come in and get some of that push out. So right now, he's battling a little bit of a push in the corner.
We're inside Martin's car, and we still see the hood was pushed up. He made contact early, and he goes right by Earnhardt.
Easily.
Just goes right by.
Martin is second.
Earnhardt's car maybe did push up a little too high off of turn 4, and Martin took advantage of it.
Rusty is checking out.
Then you reckon that Earnhardt can do over and let Martin go because of getting into him a few laps ago?
Well, I don't know. Sure looks like certainly been racing.
And they did make some when Earnhardt got by before there was some contact.
Moved over and let him go. Because Martin is faster right now than Earnhardt. You see he's able to pull away a little bit.
Now the next question is, can that blue and white car catch the black car?
I believe he can.
And Ricky Rudd has gone over to talk with the Brett Bodine pit crew. There was contact between those two drivers, causing Rudd's car to hit the wall, and obviously tempers again running a little high here as Ricky has gone over to talk with being led
Tell you what, looks like Mark is getting a little closer. Just a little closer.
Here's a Fran Field summary. Darrell Waltrip in 5th position, Kyle Petty 6th, Derek Cope 7th. There are 9 cars on the lead lap. Here are Allison, Waltrip, and Kyle Petty.
Ernie Irvin going back out once again. And Kyle Petty moves on the inside of Darrell Waltrip and just takes the position.
Moves to 5th.
Puts Darrell back in 6th place.
Ernie Irvin is back out there.
Oh, and a crash up in turn 1.
2
In
cars.
contact, Bobby Labonte.
And Harry Gant. And again, we are slowed because of a crash.
Is that the 15th, 16th caution?
I believe it's 15.
15 caution plates.
The record, of course, is here at Bristol. It's 20. And I'm not so sure but what we won't come close to equaling that or breaking it today. We've got a little over 100 laps to go. Anyway, Bobby Labonte's car, the Maxwell House Ford, is heavily damaged on just about all 4 corners, it looks like.
Yeah, both ends certainly. Yeah, every corner of it.
Harry Gant was also involved. pace car has the field lined up. We'll see if we have any pit stops.
Yep.
Yes.
Here comes Rusty. Here they all come.
Yep. Once the leader comes in, they got to come in and get those tires.
Here's Jerry Punch to call this series of pit stops.
And Ned, you're exactly right. Once Rusty Wallace makes a determination to come on the pit road, the other top cars are pretty much obligated to follow him down. Here is Wallace in the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac. He will get 4 tires. Sitting about 30 feet behind him, the Goodrich Chevrolet of Earnhardt. Right behind him, Mark Martin, Valvoline Ford. The front 3 cars now getting left side tires. We'll see who's going to win this race off pit road. Martin, Blood Nuts on. Here's Rusty Wallace. 17.1 seconds. Davey Allison comes down. Here is Kyle Petty, Dale Earnhardt, and Mark Martin now leaving his pits and headed back to turn 1.
Hey, we haven't had the clock on this crew right here, Davey Allison, but they've made some fantastic pit stops.
Yeah, I remember earlier in the race they had some excellent pit stops.
They have made some great pit stops. You know,
16.8 on Davey, John, is that right?
That's exactly right, Bob. 16.86 if you want to get into the hundredths of a second. Now, earlier I told you the last pit stop when the jack man fell over the tire, that slowed that pit stop down. But the 2 previous pit stops under caution, they had picked up 8 positions going from 11th place all the way up to 3rd place. So Davey Allison has moved up to 2nd by virtue of a very fast pit stop. Rusty Wallace leading here at Bristol. We will be back with more in a moment.
Getting ready for a restart. Here's Davey's pit stall.
That's a huge advantage because, you see, we've seen the cars get blocked in. It's impossible for Davey to get blocked in. There's an opening there. Plus, the 2 cars that were pitted in front of him are out of the race. He could drive a Mack truck out of there almost.
Got all kinds of room. About to go racing again on lap 392 with 391 complete. There's the capacity crowd looking on as the green flies again, and Rusty Wallace jumps to the lead quickly. Davey is now 2nd, followed by Kyle Petty, Dale Earnhardt, and Mark Martin.
You know, all over most of the United States, Good Friday is a holiday. In North Carolina, it's Monday that's a holiday. But neither one of those days is going to be a holiday. Jack Ross and John Liberty, they're going to be practicing pit stops. Rusty's really getting a break because his primary competition is a race for between Spencer and Darrell. And Darrell gets hung up behind Dolan back. Spencer gets by. Both these cars, Darrell was running up about 6 spots, but since he's pitting on the back straightaway on the caution flag, he had to go back to the end of the line and he was kind of running in.
Actually, I believe that moved him back to 9th. Spencer moved up to 8th. Derek Cope was 7th. Logan Shelby to 6th.
And that's how far they are behind Dale Earnhardt, who is in 4th position. There's 3rd place Petty, 2nd place Allison, and the leader, Rusty Wallace.
Well, he has checked out.
He has put himself almost a half a straightaway ahead of these guys already. $60,800 in Unical bonus money up for grabs. There once again is the Bojangles 4 driven by Derek Cope out of the Cale Yarborough stable, and that car and that driver have both turned in outstanding. Ooh, and decision just as we say that he spins.
He was running 7th. Michael Waltrip, they made contact, but Derek had lost the car. It looked like the back end got loose, and then he got into it.
That is a shame because, as we said, that
I told you that. Yeah, didn't I tell you that?
Yeah, you did. Well, we have seen a lot of sheet metal damaged, and here's some more. Michael Waltrip, who was involved in that incident out there with Derek Cope, drove it around and lost a wheel pulling out and further damaged the car. And look at this, the front clip missing on a couple of cars, including Jeff Bodine and Sterling Marlin. There is Ernie Irvin, who is also showing some battle scars here late in the going of the Food City 500. Again, just as you rejoined us, we get the green flag and resume racing. And Once again, Rusty Wallace gets a great jump on the field and pulls ahead of everyone. Second place now is Davey Allison. Kyle Petty is third. Mark Martin fourth, and Earnhardt is fifth.
When did Mark Martin get in front of Earnhardt, Nick? Didn't he come out behind him?
Made a pass on him. But maybe it's that caution is coming out or something's coming back to the line. And Rusty Wallace, another huge lead, as you mentioned, Bob. One thing that helps him to do that, he's the first car on the outside. The lap cars are down on the inside. He's quickly able to get out there, get down to the inside in the groove. Yep. The others have to pass the lap cars on the outside, as we mentioned earlier. That's the 1 to 2 seconds a lap.
And Earnhardt almost ran right in the back of Mark Martin. Oh! Martin and Kyle Petty get together. Earnhardt pulls up on the outside, and here they come side by side.
This is the battle for fourth position. Kyle Petty is just ahead in third.
Earnhardt knows that's not supposed to be. He backs off and gets back behind Mark Martin.
It looks like Kyle's car faltered a couple of times in that lap, causing this jam up. But he's okay now.
Now they put him on the back of Brett Bodine again. This is looking for Brett Bodine's car back. And I think that's what happened a while ago. Kyle Petty was trying to get position on Brett Bodine and slowed a little bit, and Mark. Good Mark right on the outside. Well, they make the pass.
Watching all this action along with an Auto Life Field summary. And now Earnhardt goes inside of Mark.
Petty's going to run up on Brett Bodine, who has moved to the inside to get out of their way. Now Brett goes all the way out of the way. Wow, and Earnhardt splits them.
They went 3 abreast into one. You don't do that.
But that was a gutsy move on Earnhardt's part.
But, yeah, also, but Brett Bodine did a very good thing there. He hit the brakes, got down on the flat going into that corner so as to not mess those fellas up.
And meanwhile, as we watch all this, Rusty Wallace has a complete straightaway lead on second place. Right now it's Davey Allison.
And Mark Martin takes over fourth from Kyle Petty. I think there's something wrong with Kyle's car.
Yeah, his car is just wrong.
Yeah, it's gone away from him.
Look, you can see that Earnhardt passed and is already pulled away by 15-20 cars. It's almost through.
And Morgan Shepherd and Rusty Wallace are closing in on Kyle, while Rusty, again, is just pulling away from everyone with about a half a straightaway advantage now on Davey.
I'll tell you what, if there isn't another caution flag, nobody's going to catch Rusty Wallace unless he has a mechanical problem.
He is gone.
John Kernan, how about that 42 car?
Well, Bob, Kyle has been complaining about the last 100, 150 laps that the car is very, very loose. Now, they've made adjustments on pit stops. Nothing seems to help. So they're just going to have to ride it out. But right now, Kyle is fighting the Neil Hamilton race car. It's very, very loose.
Yeah, he sure is. Staying ahead of Shepherd and Darrell Waltrip.
It looks like Mark Martin's car is going away then because he just isn't able to close it like he did before.
No, and Kyle is moving back up on him. Once again, Earnhardt has pulled away from him since we saw that little 3-car battle a moment ago. So, yes, his car does not look like his
And Morgan Shepherd gets sideways in turn 3 and loses 2 positions to Waltrip and Spencer.
Well, these guys are great close today. All 3 of these fellas.
6th, 7th, and 8th. Now Darrell is moving into 6th. Chris 7th, Morgan Shepherd 8th.
Now let's go inside Mark Martin's car, actually on the roof, and see how this pass occurred.
Never seen Earnhardt's on the inside. He gets on the inside of Kyle Petty. Brett Bodine, as Ned said, sees him. Gets off the gas and he gets squeezed in there.
And Kyle had to back off after that because that was the smart thing for him to do. He's going to be in the wall if he doesn't back off.
That is called threading the needle. Is still out there. He's 17th.
This is one of the races that Daytona here in Bristol don't have the auto cars, so it's fine.
Tell you what, Darrell Waltrip gets a little racy because he's closing in on the back of Kyle Petty. That would be 5th place if he can pass him. And I tell you what, Darrell is praying for green flag the rest of the day because there's less he comes down. He can throw it. He has to win all these guys before he goes in.
There's less of a disadvantage pitting on the backstretch
fact, there's no disadvantage. Pit stop is made out of green. Because they should not have to make another pit stop now. But when the caution comes out, it's always will. Michael Waltrip changed right side tires on the Pennzoil tire. He continues to have his problems here today.
And Jerry Punch has a report on Mark Martin.
Spoke with Steve Meal just a minute ago. Apparently the report is that they may have a fender rubbing a tire on the Valvoline Ford. That car certainly has some sheet metal damage, but that's why Mark has backed off for a few laps and cannot run the car real hard in the corners. They're concerned about possibly rubbing a tire on the car number 6.
Well, Jerry, I can see some damage in the right front. Outside the right front, I can see some damage to that, and maybe it is rubbing the tire. Well, we can see where it's where the front part meets the fender that we saw just a moment ago. That's pushed in against the tire.
Boy, he's got to be very concerned about that too. Because you go around this tire on this racetrack, depending on the part of the racetrack that you're on, it can hurt. There you see Derek Coates back out there running, but certainly is a bit similar to what he was running earlier when he was running up there in the lap.
Mark Martin and there's Rusty Wallace, our leader, almost a half lap down now for Martin. And Kyle Petty's about to pass him.
Wallace in traffic passing Sterling Marlin. There's the interval back to 3rd position.
Earnhardt might be gaining a little bit on Davey Allison. He still has good ways to go to catch him. But right now, there's nothing but daylight between them. The rest is on the outside of the road.
How about an on-track interval here, timing Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt. Interval shrunk between laps 415 and 419 from 1.7 seconds to 1.2 seconds. And Earnhardt was faster rather than Wallace slowing down.
Earnhardt now, after a few laps, his car started to run well. Like Jared pointed out earlier, when the car's really tight, it hurts you the first few laps, but after you get a few laps on, then your car becomes faster than some of your competition. And Mark Martin is going backwards.
Yep, sure is.
Darrell Waltrip has passed him now. Kyle Petty passed him a few laps ago, as Danny pointed out. And here's Darrell Waltrip going by. So that moves Mark back to the 6th position.
Darrell goes to 5th and Mark back to 6th spot. And here is Jimmy Spencer also passing Mark Martin. So that car is completely gone away. It sure has. Running 1st and 2nd, Rusty Wallace and Davey Allison. Remember, in 1990, Rusty beat number 6 car. Rather, Davey beat the number 6 car by about 8 inches. This year, however, it looks like that Rusty Wallace has things in hand. We'll be right back. At Bristol, Mark Martin almost spun up in turn number 3, got on the brakes and has brought it down into his pit area. Jerry?
And that tire rubbing, as we had mentioned before, has taken its toll. Apparently the right front tire going down. They have changed tires, they made a chassis adjustment, and Martin is away, but it cost him a chance at victory.
Yes, it did. Of course, he lost a lap in that pit stop, so his chances of winning are gone. Here's the battle for 2nd now as Dale Earnhardt has caught Davey Allison.
He moved down on the inside, a little close going into the turn, but Davey sees him, then moves up out of the way, so Earnhardt takes over the 2nd position. And Bob Earnhardt has been gaining on Rusty Wallace.
We've got, 50-some laps to go, but I think we could see a really good finish because Earnhardt, although he has a lot of traffic between himself and Rusty Wallace, has definitely closed in to make a real battle out of this thing.
I might put a fork in his punch too quick.
That's right.
You're right. He's gaining Rusty Wallace substantially.
But this traffic right here is going to hurt him.
Yep.
It's going to take a second or two off of it. He cut it down to about 2 4/10 seconds. Definitely has hurt him.
Jerry, what's Mark Martin's tire look like?
Guys, you don't think this would make your heart skip a beat? Take a look at this right front tire. It was rubbing a couple of places on the fender cutting into it here, a couple of grooves, and finally it completely cut it down. And thanks to the Goodyear interliner, Martin was able to make it back to pit road and not slam the wall. He just lost some time and on a race car. Tough break.
Indeed. Now Dale Earnhardt, who has moved around everybody, has clear sailing as we watch Kyle Petty, Mark Martin, and Darrell Waltrip. Now, Waltrip and Petty are battling for position.
Here comes Darrell on the inside, trying to get on the inside of Kyle.
Oops,
they touch a little bit. And that's for fourth. Darrell Waltrip now in fourth spot.
Man, what an afternoon he has had.
Now, Earnhardt lost a second coming through that lap. He come down to about 2 and 14 seconds. Now he's about 3 and 14 seconds behind Rusty Wallace.
Darrell Waltrip has the most short track wins in the modern era with 47. I don't think he's going to be able to do 48 here today, but he has accomplished an amazing amount, starting last on the field, pitting on the back stretch, and has now moved himself to fourth place.
When we go to North Wilkesboro and talk to the crew, to Barry Dodson and Darrell Waltrip, we haven't been talking, but he might be the fastest car in the race for all I know.
Around Joe Wetland. That's Earnhardt's car.
Earnhardt's the fastest car on the racetrack, but Darrell is running very, very good.
And we've got exactly 50 laps to go for the 500. 50 laps for Earnhardt to catch Wallace. Another auto light field summary for you.
Earnhardt has cut it down to under 3 seconds. Once again, you can see we have 7 cars in the lead right now. Mark Martin actually lost 2 laps on that pit stop.
Not a car 1 lap down.
Yeah.
The Bonton brothers. 66 laps down. All those cars out of
And Morgan Shepherd is about to roll out there, so he would finish Rusty passing now going into turn 1. So now he's on the lap by himself. He doesn't have to worry too much about others at this point.
Can Rusty Wallace hold on to the lead, or can Dale Earnhardt catch him for a win in this NASCAR Winston Cup race? Look right back. Look at the interval leaderboard here. 2.19 seconds separates Wallace from Earnhardt. Davey is 5.2 seconds behind. Darrell Waltrip 8.5 seconds behind, and Kyle Petty is almost 10 seconds behind the leader, Rusty Wallace.
Rusty in a little bit of traffic here right now. Earnhardt has cleared himself here some of the traffic that they both had to go through.
But Rick Mast at Rusty's right behind. He goes on the outside.
Rick having a good run here today, currently running in 9th position. He's about to go 2 laps down. There again, right there, he was running 2 wrecks today, but that stole around and got him 2 laps. There's Earnhardt.
Yep, 37 laps to go. The 5 car is back out there. Ricky Rudd and Jerry has a comment.
Guys, while we're watching the battles up front, we got to acknowledge the effort, this unbelievable effort by these crews back behind the wall in the garage area to put Ricky Rudd back on the racetrack, and also Tim Brewer to put the Maxwell House car of Bobby Labonte, or what's left of the Maxwell House car of Bobby Labonte, back in the race. These guys will never say die. They're not going to give up.
Yeah, salute to some hard work down there in the pit area today by several crews.
Earnhardt has cut it down to about 1 and 2 seconds. Let's check it out again here as it comes out.
Yep. 454 to 458 the laps, and look at the interval shrunk from 2.9 seconds to 1.3, and then you got 1.1, so he's continued to close in on the leader, Rusty Wallace.
They both have to go through the same traffic. Rusty a little bit ahead. Now Earnhardt lost a little bit that time because of passing the Jeff Bodine car. Now Rusty going around the 98 car of Derek Coates. So in fact, they got some heavy traffic coming up ahead of them, both of them, so it's going to affect them. Whoever gets through that traffic the best will gain the most.
And 32 laps to go. Earnhardt's got 32 laps. And pretty soon he's going to, well, he can see him already.
Yeah, don't go away. This is going to be a good finish. I can sure is. Let's guarantee you that.
Earnhardt going high there, Bob. That's going to hurt him some, but Jimmy Means got down out of the way. But still, running that high groove cost him a little bit of time.
At the moment, only 1 car between first and second. That's Harry Gant.
Now it's back to 1 and 56 hundredths, over 1.5 seconds.
Rusty Wallace, and there comes Earnhardt. You can see just a half a lap between the two.
And when you can pass like pass Brindle there, Benny, and passed him on the straightaway, was able to get back down in that bottom groove. Now that's the way you like to do it. Don't cost you any time to do that, but you have to go on the high side of them around the turn. Now that does cost you.
Here comes Earnhardt. Now he has to go by Joe Rudman. There again. Now he got a tough break. You're right. Now he has to pass Rudman in the corner. That's going to slow him down some.
Yep, he had moved it back down to about 1 2/10 seconds. But now that's going to cost him a couple of tenths once again. About 1 1/3, somewhere in that neighborhood. Seconds behind now. So again, it depends who they catch, where, and how much time they lose.
If all the cars would stop right now and just let these two guys out the race, I think Earnhardt would win the race.
Well, I think he would catch Rusty. Now, whether he could pass him or not, that would be an interesting situation.
I think that's what I meant. I think he could catch him.
Well, while we have the opportunity, because we are set up for an excellent finish, we're going to take a break and be back with more live coverage of the Food City 500 from Bristol, Tennessee. Stay with us. Back at Bristol, where we are cautioned for the 17th time on lap 479. Jeff Gordon spun and hit the wall up in turn number 2. Now watch what happens as Gordon's car comes down the banking.
There goes Harry Gant just by, and Earnhardt just turns that car dead left, just barely gets by. Boy.
Gordon drove the car to his pit on the backstretch.
Now then, Ned, the cars did not pit. We see the record for most cautions, 20. Today's 17. The guys didn't pit. You think that's a good strategy?
Well, yeah, when Rusty didn't pit, Earnhardt and them couldn't afford to come in and lose that track position. Now, Kyle Petty was the last car on the lead lap. He did come in and pit, and Jimmy Spencer was back there also, so he came in and pitted and took on fresh tires. Don't know how much it'll help him, but with no more laps to go than this, it didn't surprise me that they didn't come in, because they certainly didn't have time.
And I'm just impressed at how aware those guys in the pits are, like Robin Pemberton and the guy with Kyle Petty's crew. They knew they were the last car on the lead lap or next to the last. Why not come in and get fresh tires? They instantly recognized that, came in.
We'd like to congratulate Barry Dodson, who has been chosen the Western Auto Mechanic of the race. Our congratulations to him. Picks up a few points toward the bonus at the end of the year for the Western Auto Mechanic of the year.
Barry, of course, came on as crew chief of Darrell Walters' car after the season had started.
Darrell is running in, what, 4th? Yeah.
So it's Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, Davey Allison in 3rd, Darrell Waltrip in 4th.
And we got 19 laps to go. And the yellow remains out. They'll go at least one more lap before getting the green flag.
You got to go 2 now.
Yep. The cars have to be shown the one more to go sign before they get the green flag. So.
And you see Mark Martin on the inside of Rusty Wallace. He's a couple of laps down. He pulls on the inside, trying to get one of those back.
Mark is shown in 8th position. Morgan Shepherd is 1 lap down by himself in 7th position. No other car in that lap with him.
Why are they going so slowly back there?
Really? The pace car is driven off and left the field, and he's running his normal speed.
Yeah, I mean, both Wallace and Martin are almost stopped. A little cat and mouse game, maybe?
I would guess that's what that is all about.
Anyway, well, now they're giving the signal one more lap to go, and so the next time around they'll get the green.
Got 17 laps to go.
Well, we don't have to worry about interval, do we?
No, that's for sure.
Bumper to bumper.
Once again, our thanks to the Family Channel Blimp for their overhead shots today. One of only 3 light ships in the world that has an eternal illumination system which allows it to glow at night. It's quite spectacular. Thanks again for our aerial coverage of the Food City 500 from the Family Channel Blimp. Okay, pace car's lights are out. It's a sprint to the finish. They'll come down and complete 483. They'll get the green on lap 484. Let's see who comes out on top in the Food City 500. It's a slow restart. Green is out. Rusty tries desperately to get to the inside as quickly as he can. He does put Mark Martin between himself and Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, Mark Martin he's not going to foul up that race.
Rusty pulls away from Dale momentarily.
Rusty's car is awfully fast on restarts.
15 to go.
Closing up.
As we watch this battle to the end, here's our final Autoline field summary. How they were running last time around.
Kyle Petty moving around Darrell Waltrip with those fresh tires, takes over the 4th position. That was a very good move, as a matter of fact, on Kyle Petty. Jimmy Spencer has fresh tires too. He's coming up in there. Darrell was sitting there in 4th position. The other leader didn't tip.
Ooh, and Mark Martin almost hit Dale Earnhardt. And meanwhile, Davey Allison had to back off to keep from hitting Mark Martin. And Kyle Petty gets wrong side on him.
Kyle takes over 3rd.
Kyle, with those new tires, is going to the front. He may be a factor in this race, huh?
Yeah, it could be, but I don't think he'll be a factor to catch Rusty, but he certainly has gained several positions by taking on those tires.
Here's a replay of contact between Earnhardt and Martin, and then with Allison.
Yes, and here comes Kyle Petty on the inside, takes that 3rd spot away.
Less than 10 laps to go. In fact, we have 10 laps to go. 490 complete. Rusty is maintaining his advantage.
As a matter of fact, he's pulling away from
Earnhardt. I think he is, yeah.
Kyle Petty is catching Dale Earnhardt.
Yes, he is. I don't think he's got time to catch Rusty, though.
No, I don't think so either, but I believe Kyle will catch up. So that was a very, very good move in the folks on the 42 car. Make that pit stop.
There comes Spencer on the inside of Davey Allison, trying to get alongside Davey.
Spencer has fresh tires also.
Watching this race. And Spencer's on the inside, can't make the pass up.
Nope. Trying, but can't do it.
Kyle's moved within about 2 cars. So Spencer might have him this time.
Spencer got it.
4th place.
Very good run to get into the spot. They got a lap down, made the lap up, now back up in 4th place.
5 laps to go for Rusty Wallace. Looking for his 23rd Winston Cup win. There was some debris there on the racetrack, but I don't think it's going to cause a caution. It's a bunch of it. It isn't metal, so it wouldn't create a serious problem.
Got the hooks on the end, so he certainly won't run over the thing. Here comes Rusty.
Got more laps on it.
And Kyle Petty going to gain substantially on Earnhardt. Comes alongside.
Battle for second.
Now Earnhardt goes up the hill. Kyle trying to get underneath. Just move up enough.
A very smart move of Kyle Petty coming in and getting those fresh tires. He had nothing to lose again because he was the last car on the lead lap, but he sure had a lot to gain.
And just 2 laps to go. 2 laps. They're not going to catch Rusty Wallace, but Kyle Petty has to start in second.
White flag comes out this time for Rusty Wallace. Not only is he going to win this race, he's going to pick up $60,800 Unocal bonus money. This will be the 3rd time he's won that Unocal bonus. Second place will continue to watch for you as Earnhardt remains ahead of Kyle Petty. Here is Rusty Wallace in the 3rd turn, now the 4th turn, and the Food City 500 win is his. Rusty Wallace, Earnhardt second, followed by Kyle Petty. Here is 4th position going to Davey Allison and Spencer, then Davey Allison, and then Rusty Wallace. And here's John Kernan with Buddy Parrott.
Buddy, you just said something to Rusty over the radio, and I noticed you ran over here and hid behind the tire racks. What was that all about?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've had a lot of that Gatorade dumped on me before, but I don't know, it was a great day. I tell you what, it was all still, everybody was a little down, but we sat on a pole and we won the race. And we were in Alan Kulwicki's pit today, and he did it here last year in the same spot. So wherever you are, Alan, this is for you, baby.
And not unexpectedly, Rusty Wallace takes the Polish victory lap, as Alan Kulwicki called it. All the way around this half-mile racetrack, the crowd is on its feet. Maybe even those who cheer against Rusty Wallace are up saluting this victory lap because they know in reality it is for the fallen champion of this division, Alan Kulwicki, who was killed in a plane crash near Bristol on Thursday evening. And now Rusty can go to victory lane and receive the congratulations and the accolades that he deserves. He drove a fine race here. Last year's champion, the winner of this race, was Alan Kulwicki. We'll be back with this year's champion, Rusty Wallace, in just a moment at Bristol, Tennessee. High overhead, Bristol Raceway in East Tennessee, the Food City 500 has come to a conclusion. Rusty Wallace has beaten Dale Earnhardt, Kyle Petty, Jimmy Spencer, and Davey Allison. Our Speed World coverage has been brought to you by Suzuki. Your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. And by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch in victory lane.
A big smile from Rusty Wallace. Rusty, congratulations on a dominating win and quite a tribute.
Yeah, I tell you, it's just, it's almost tearful, man. I tell you, because I wanted to win this race so bad. I was so mad when Alan got hurt, or got killed there, that I told the preachers before, I said, I'm going to try to win this thing for him. And, boy, I was pretty intense today, and I did that. And, boy, when I took that thing, I looped that baby around, and I did the Alan Kulwicki victory lap, and I was so proud for him, It's just... to Paul Andrews and his whole crew and all his friends and stuff. This isn't for the Miller Daniel draft team. It's for you guys because, we miss you bad.
Some of the Kulwicki crew were the first to greet you in victory lane, and Don Hawk and some of them came up and patted you on the back. They had tears in their eyes. Rusty, a tremendous run today for your team.
Yeah, it was. I'm real happy with the team, but I'm sure not going to let this good run overshadow my buddy,
Rusty Wallace in victory lane for the 4th time at Bristol International Raceway. All 4 coming in the spring Food City 500. Bob?
All right, his 4th win here at Bristol, Tennessee, Rusty Wallace. Here are the unofficial final results. There you see how Jimmy Spencer had a great day, and Darrell Waltrip finished in 6th position, starting last on the field. Brett Bodine, who started outside the front row, finishes in 9th position.
See, Kenny Wallace, he's the leading rookie contender this afternoon, finishes 13th.
Jeff Gordon finishes in 17th position.
And there are a lot of drivers we see back through the field who run good, like Ernie Irvin had a good run going, Terry Labonte, but they wound up in crashes and far back in the field.
And another disappointing finish for Bill Elliott, back in 30th spot.
And 31st through 35th, Parsons, Jarrett, Hill, and Schrader, and Bobby Hamilton. So that's the story of the Food City 500 here at Bristol International Raceway.